Here we go, the grandest of grand finals. 24 drivers, 4 tracks, 1 champion, and what a selection we have. After the challenges and struggles for some to get on the grid for the finale, this competition is now wide open with such a large section that can win. And what a format it is. Of course, it's 4 tracks. Consistency will be key across the evening to find which driver will reign supreme. We begin our adventure here at Motorland Aragon, a circuit built by one Mr. Herman Tilke, is located near the town of Alcanaz in the northern part of Spain, about 80 kilometres away from the Mediterranean and about 200 kilometres away from Barcelona. A unique twisting challenge for the drivers. The CUPRA E-Racing Competition's grand final then, taking you through it, myself, Lewis McGlade, and alongside me, Chris Buxton.
It all comes down to this. From over 5,000 potential qualifiers down to the best 24, they've seen off the rest. It is time to find the very best.
And what a prize they're fighting for. €2,500 for which driver comes out on top of this evening's action. You can see there points for the qualifying session, points for the races. We qualify on each track we visit, a 10-minute qualifying session for it, and of course a wide open race that anyone can win. Consistency will be key tonight, and of course it's 4 completely different tracks, and that is what is going to create a wild evening of entertainment.
Absolutely. We always talk about how well consistency is going to favour our drivers, but with the way that the reverse grids have seen, that's not always easy to maintain, being that, you can do very well in race 1 and then you'll automatically be in the middle of the pack. Now is when we see those that just have that ability to get in and get straight on with it every single time. And like you say, very differing tracks. We've got Aragon starting, very long track, and then we have much shorter track. And when we head to Silverstone National, it's going to be wild.
Absolutely. And of course, as we've seen before in the qualifiers, energy management will be crucial, especially when we head to the 3rd race of the evening at Spa, and then we end it at the Nürburgring, making sure that you've got enough energy to get through the race. They may only be short, but boy, oh boy, do these cars have a lot of power, and they're going to fly through that pretty quick.
So let's have a quick look at how the season has led to this very point.
Welcome to the CUPRA E-Racing Competition as we take a look at which drivers take to our grand finale, starting with Suzuka. The opening test for the drivers showed the tricky, powerful CUPRA E-Racer to be a challenging beast. Mastering it in the early stages was Christopher Högfeld, who took pole position and eventually the race victory. Stefanko, who qualified in 2nd, disconnected and would have to wait until Shanghai for another shot, whilst Norbert Poussin and Martin Barner would take victory in race 2 and 3. That would then leave us with these 6 drivers heading through to the finale. Christopher Högfeld would take the top spot with Adam Pinces in behind for AAA Esports, Julian Kunzer and Ben Spanky, Norbert Poussin and Alessandro Ottaviani. Unfortunately, Martin Barner's victory wasn't enough to progress him through. He would have to wait until Shanghai. And it wasn't long until we got our second shot of action, with Martin Stefanko mastering the Chinese circuit with pole position. He was pressured all the way through the first race by Kadlachik, but managed to take victory. He played it safe after that, being careful through both races 2 and 3. Poor starts from Gianmarco Vidici left him open and desperate, in which he caused a costly incident. He would, however, take victory in race 2. Tim Yarshall also had issues being spun around terrifyingly at turn 2 in race 2, but he would get the reverse grid pole and eventual victory in the final race of the night. Which means the next 6 drivers joining us in the final would be Williams Esports' Martin Stefanko, Martin Kadlachik, Tim Yarshall, Simone Prater, Martin Barner and Matija Markovic. Gianmarco Vidici was initially inside the top 6, but penalties to him dropped him outside of it and would mean he'd have to wait for another chance to qualify. And so our last racing qualifier from Dubai had Nestor Garcia as the pace setter. The Red Bull Racing Esports man grabbed pole position and was pressured by Euronics Gaming's Florian Haase in the opening race. The round saw some usually unfavoured drivers up towards the front, Carlo Luciano Badin looking particularly strong. A race victory from Garcia saw him start race 2 in 10th, and unfortunately it was only downhill from there. An incident at the hairpin, then being spun, dropped him out of the points. Haase moved back up to 2nd, only being beaten by an excellent drive from Leon Rudinger. The final race of the night saw Christian Kwiatkowski take a very important win. And so with these 6 drivers, it would become 18 for our final, with Florian Haase topping it. Max Pfeiffer, Marcelo Caserta, Leon Otocki, Carlo Luciano Bedin and Christian Kwiatkowski would be the 6. Wins from both Nestor Garcia and Leon Rudiger weren't enough to progress them through. They would have one final attempt in the time attacks. And with those time attacks complete, these are the final 6. Nestor Garcia, Jack Keithley and Liam Rudiger would qualify at Bathurst to join the final. Then Mikko Räikkönen, Gianmarco Fiducci and Roberto Pignataro would be our final 3 qualifying at Sonoma. That's our grid, and we'll be ready for the grand finale. Wow, what a grid it is. We arrive then at Motorland Aragon, getting ready for that qualifying session. Some massive names in the series, and I think we're going to see some big surprises. Of course, here's one that could spring one. Jack Keithley, how many accolades has he got in sim racing, particularly here in RaceRoom over the last few years? An immensely fast driver, but it is important to note that he hasn't taken part in any of the actual racing qualifiers. He's only driven the car in a hot lap scenario, so how that's going to play into effect when it comes to the racing parts of this evening, we'll have to wait and see. Lewis McGlade alongside me, Chris Buxton. Oh, it does get your heart racing a little bit heading into this first qualifying session. It's so important to kick the evening off with strong momentum.
Yeah, completely. If nothing else, it's good for your own kind of mental state. Jack Keithley, the comparative elder statesman of the pack. And he's not old by general standards. I can say that as the oldest of all of us. But comparatively speaking, we've got a lot of teenagers in this group. So he may feel a little bit out of place. But like you say, Lewis, he's only gone through the time attack route. So being a one-lap specialist, it may well all be well and good, but we've seen in all walks of motorsport how that can just undo itself really, really quickly. The racing discipline, I don't think we need to question Jack Keithley's racing discipline, but in this car, on these tracks, particularly here at Aragon, a track that isn't always ingrained in your muscle memory. Everybody knows Spa, everyone knows Silverstone, everyone knows Monza, etc., etc., etc. This is one of the tracks that is going to fall under the ones that can adapt very quickly. It's what we were talking about earlier, because it's not a track that everybody will know instinctively. So again, we'll see how well Jack Keithley does.
It is an odd venue. Of course, it was raced in the EWTCR a little bit earlier. Any drivers that have taken part in the EWTCR will be favouring this circuit. Speaking of which, 2-time EWTCR race winner at this track in the 2020 season. So one driver who really got used to it. The thing to note about those victories, though, and I wonder if we're going to see this today around here at least, is that those 2 victories, if I remember correctly, Gergo Baldi was leading most of the race, and it was only in the final lap of the race that Bent Banky pounced, noting that track position isn't necessarily king round here, and it is an extremely passable venue when you consider coming off of that chicane onto that huge back straight into turn 16. That super tight hairpin at the back. You can go around the outside there, as Bent Banky knows. It's a super raceable venue, and here we are, the first qualifying session underway.
But it's going to be the longer tracks where the power management is going to be absolutely key. You touched on this earlier, Lewis. And again, there's going to be the temptation, particularly on that back straight, just to use that little bit too much to try and either gain on the person ahead or defend from the person that's directly behind you. It's all going to be about consistency and keeping your head. Now, again, we've talked about pressure management. Dealing with the steps that have led up to this point has been one thing, because there's always been another opportunity. I think, Fiducci rather epitomizes that, having been in all qualifying sessions and then still needed the time attack. I mean, it's great that he's with us. I'm not meaning to criticize the Italian at all, but it's just the fact that there was always a safety net. It is now or never, do or die, feast or famine now. So this is going to be where those that can maintain the pressure, those that can keep their head, especially if they maybe don't do well in the first qualifying session, this is when the real champions will come forth.
Especially with Gianmarco Fedicci, did qualify, in air quotes, at Shanghai, but then received the penalty for his efforts and was effectively booted out of any attempt to qualify at Dubai, so then had to do it in the time attack session. And it is important to note with him, whilst of course he took a win in that qualifier in the second race at Shanghai, maybe you don't necessarily count that as his first RaceRoom victory. He certainly has had one since, though, winning in the final of the EWTCR season at Zolder in a fantastic drive in race 1 to fend off the entire grid in dominant fashion as well. And how that affects his mindset coming into the day, well, we'll have to wait and see. Let's take a look then around the circuit on board with Jack Keithley, and this is what we are fighting with all the way through the day. Maybe you consider this one as a bit more of a bike track. I'm sure it has been praised quite a lot on the MotoGP calendar, World Superbike, wherever it has been raced a lot on bikes, but touring cars, only a few times realistically in WTCR, etc. But wrestling it through turn 1, through turn 2, up the hill, through 3, hooking that apex nicely and being careful not to run too far wide. And you've got this double left-hander as everything tightens up. It's quite a section here into 5. I think you might see the odd sneaky dive. 6, a bit of a nothing kink into quite a tight 90 degrees, maybe even more so. Right-hander of turn 7. And then we approach an absolutely fantastic part of any racetrack. 8 and 9. Watch this bit as we ride on board with Keithley. It completely drops away on the left-hand side. Definitely saw some moves somehow in EWTCR through here. Then 10, ultra-long left-hander. It just keeps going. And you've got to be careful, especially in these cars, because they can be a bit understeery. Just to sort of like the corner never ends. You might get on the power that lift a bit too early. Wait for this braking zone, kind of turning all the way through it. Easy to lock up through there at T12, through 13, and then through another chicane. This one's a right-left one, 14-15. This is where Ben Spanky made a move to get through into the lead in the second race of the EWTCR round here. Oh, pulling off of the lap already. Jack Keithley didn't fancy that onto the backstretch, maybe helping out his teammate, although it's a bit of a straight. This would be the helpful bit, or maybe just getting out of the way to not give anyone an advantage. 16 and 17 would be after that. We look at Martin Stefanko. Either way, though, it is quite a track, and I absolutely love this bit. It's so good.
The undulation change is huge. As we're watching Martin Stefanko, he's coming through 8, 9, and 10. This is the part you really enjoyed, Lewis. It really reminds me of Portimao. Just the level of altitude change is huge, and it's not always easy to see that from the external cameras. But where that really counts is judging your braking zones and your turning points. And 8, 9, and 10 is really tricky, twisty section, and it's really heavily downhill. So again, there's lots of these things that drivers may not necessarily take into consideration. I think the reason why Keithley possibly pulled over is he really overcooked that 12 through to 15 section. There was one point where I thought he went a bit too wide, and that's possibly why we saw him sort of pull over. He has got time on the board, but it's not entirely representative. They don't have long to get a truly representative time on the board. As we look at Leon Rudiger now, who's just topped the time sheets in sector 1, barely. But expect that time to continue to fall as the drivers are doing their best to just keep pounding those laps out in the short 10-minute qualifying session.
Yeah, it is, especially around a circuit like this. This is the thing of the evening, is that we're going to see this short qualifying session applied to all of the other tracks. So for Aragon and Spa, really long laps this evening. It's going to be tricky to get those laps in. Of course, once the timer hits 0, we move straight on. Noting from practice, at least from what we were getting last night and that sort of vibe, is that Nestor Garcia, a theme of the evening, I think, is he's going to be very much at the front, yet to set a time on the board at the moment, having got through the time attack qualifiers to get onto this grid. He was the fastest of anyone round here at setting a 1 minute 55.7, a good couple of tenths quicker than anyone else in that practice list. Although not setting a time, you're going to be starting down there in the pack, and it's not ideal. Leon Rudiger then towards the line, a driver who has been very much a surprise when it comes to his pace prior to the evening. Goes up to third position, which was where realistically he was on our practice timesheets. What does Jack Keithley do towards the line? Only 10th. Look at how much time he dropped in that final sector. 6/10. Not liking the run into turn 16 at all.
And you can't see he's got traffic around him. You can quite clearly see there was no one in the way. So that looks like it was on his own merit that that happened. As we look at Luciano Bedin now, he's still getting the good times in, but that's still 13th position. Not somewhere you'd normally see him, but great effort from Tim Yarshall. Currently at the top of the tree, but we will see those 55s start to come out, I would think. Like you said, judging by the practice times, there were 4 of them. Keithley was one of them, actually, in the 55s. So, again, it's just showing, you need to perform when the pressure is on.
You always need to perform, especially in such a tight format like this. Decent first sector then from Nestor Garcia, Red Bull Racing Esports' driver in this. The Tim Yarshall, who we just saw, is currently, by the way, a Euronics front row of the grid at least. And it is important to know that Yarshall, he nearly got a slap on the wrist, really, because when he did qualify, it was at Shanghai, which is a track that he kind of expected to qualify. It's a track that he really, really likes. I get he would probably wish that it was a circuit in here in the grand final, because he'd probably dominate that one, because he's very good at that circuit. But yeah, he didn't do it without getting in trouble. Now, he didn't get a penalty because it wasn't reported. Look at that middle sector from Nestor Garcia. So Tim Yarshall's maybe almost lucky to be on the grid, although that said, I'm sure he would have got through in the time attacks. Let's watch Nestor Garcia for Red Bull Racing Esports into that final section of the circuit. Just 3 corners to go for the Spaniard on home soil. Nicely executed at the hairpin. You won't watch them run too far wide there, because you need to get lined up for the right-hander, then through this extremely fast left-hander to end the lap. That run to the line that comes quite late. Let's take a look at what he did. I'm assuming it's going to be a 55. It certainly is a 55.9. Gets onto pole position, stops it from being a Euronics Gaming front row. But look at this from our first race winner in those qualifying races, Christopher Hookveld, coming out of the final corner, looking to bag himself 3 points. This will be his final lap of the session. What's it going to be? Not enough. Wow. Only 5th.
How that changed in that last sector for Hookveld. My goodness me. Cool. He was really on course to really probably smash his practice time. He did a 56.8. He was looking good to really obliterate him, but that just suddenly fell apart. But Yarshall's not giving up the chase, though, already up in the first sector. But, wow, didn't Garcia come alive in the middle sector in particular to set that time? Also, Fiducci has jumped up into second, I see. Just a 10th and a bit off the top time. Ooh. 1 minute to go. It's going to be a mad scramble to get to the line.
Look at some of the names down the grid, though. 8th place, Stefanko. 9th place, Kadlachik. 11th place, Benz Banki. We saw Rakel's lap ending really, really poorly. Only 13th for him. Jack Keithley, one of the favourites for the night. Just 15th on the grid with only 40 seconds left on the clock. Tim Yarshall, one of the 4 drivers for Euronics Gaming, with Leon Otoki not able to make it this evening courtesy of a wheel failure. Goes to 3rd for Tim Yarshall. Decent lap behind Gianmarco Fiducci. Hookveld gets up. Oh no, sorry, it's Kadlachik moving up into 7th place. Decent for him. Adam Pintes towards the line. Not set a time in this session so far. What is it going to be? 9th place for him. Gets himself inside the top 10 ahead of Martin Stefanko.
Still time to come in, though. Pintus is just about going to beat the flag. Is he? Yeah, should do. A little bit wide coming through that final turn. And there it is. The confirmed grid is Garcia. It was P9 for Keithley. But goodness me, Garcia Fiducci on the front row.
What a front row it is.
What a form change from practice.
Gianmarco Fiducci, come on. Let's do this. He is a man on form. Getting it up onto the front row. Is he going to be a contender for this evening? Or, Nestor Garcia, the pace setter coming into it? It's looking good for him. He's already bagged 3 points. In effect, of course, pole position's one thing, but the 3 points, he's already bagged the lead when it comes to the stakes at the moment. And also, one thing that I want to point out, when it comes to drivers that have got 3 points from qualifying coming into this, It was Christopher Högfeldt in the first round at Suzuka who got 3 points. What did he do? He won the first race. Martin Stefanko gets pole position, 3 points for his efforts. What did he do? Won the race at Shanghai. After that, Nestor Garcia, again, pole position, translated it straight into the race victory. So starting from that pole, when you've set it in the qualifying session, looks like it's a pretty good statistic to have. Does it translate to the final, though? That's the question, and I'm not so sure.
Well, the form book hasn't been completely wrecked, but yeah, like you say, you wouldn't have put Fiducci on the front row based purely on the practice times. He was, overall, he was sitting well within the top 10. But in Aragon particularly, he wasn't there. He wasn't really towards the front at all, was Fiducci in particular. So I'm wondering whether previous form is really going to be relevant at all. I don't think we can draw too much from it. It's just, not everyone is a qualifying specialist, but without the reverse grids in there, though, that's what I think is where the main ones that can maintain that consistency. And if you think back to Garcia absolutely wrecked houses. Pignato is getting a little bit elbows out there. Nestor Garcia, if I recall, had an absolutely storming run in his qualifying. He was untouchable. As we look at some stats from Garcia, who's I didn't actually realise he's older than Jack Keithley. I was calling him the elder statesman. Well, actually, Garcia's got some time on him. But, I mean, look at the achievements below there. P2 for the ADAC GT Masters this year. Has been in the esports scene a good number of years. And, it just turns up and gets on with it. And it's just blindly fast no matter what you put him in.
He did dominate that first race at Dubai. The thing that really kind of stood out, though, was how he was in the reverse grid race. Now, of course, we do not have reverse grid races this evening. It's straight from qualifying into race across the night. There is no reverse grid, but that means that he has to absolutely nail qualifying on every single attempt. About ready to get underway for the first race. A reminder of your format and what is at stake. 15 points in this race could be absolutely crucial to kicking things off in the best possible way this evening. 3 points have already gone the way of Nestor Garcia, 2 to Gianmarco Fiducci, and 3 to Tim Yarshall. I think we're in for an absolutely cracking evening of entertainment. Of course, it must be noted these cars are tricky to drive, and not only tricky to drive in general, they're also tricky to get off the line. One thing Mr. Gianmarco Fiducci knows only too well. What does Alessandro Ottaviani do as well? He's a bit of a surprise in that qualifying session, up in 4th place. Well, there is only one way to find out, and that is to get racing. Not quite ready yet. There is Gianmarco Fiducci, EWTCR race winner at Zolder. And we know how emotional the feisty Italian can be. Absolutely love his emotion. Was in tears after crossing the line. The victor. Here we go then. Ready to go. We're about to head underway at Aragon. The lights are on. And we go electric in Spain for the grand final of the CUPRA E-Racing Competition. Nestor Garcia going to lead it into turn 1 from Gianmarco Fiducci as Ottaviani's trying to get by Tim Yarshall already in turn 1, but now he's having to set his sights backwards to Florian Haase, who focus on with Leon Rudinger. Jack Keithley already moving up to 8th place with some chops and changes in the background. Nestor Garcia leading comfortably though, as Gianmarco Fiducci having to really watch his mirrors. Tim Yarshall, the German, all over the back of him, running wide in the background though. Ottaviani dropping the position to Florian Haase and nearly to Leon Rudinger as well, as everything tightens up from 7 towards 8 and 9. That fantastic section as it drops away. Martin Stefanko, race winner at Shanghai, only in 20th place. What's happened to him and Markovic as well?
Ouch. Yeah, I thought I saw some of the those that were in the midfield descend badly, and sadly Stefanko is one of them. But Nestor Garcia, actually, in fairness, most of the grid got off really, really well, and I bet you that was playing on Fiducci's mind, because pretty much every start we saw him do in the qualifiers was absolutely disastrous and saw him fall very, very badly through the field. He's had a decent start, and like you were saying, Lewis, he's really fended off the advances of Tim Yarshall very, very well, and staying quite well at the moment in the tyre tracks with Nestor Garcia. So he's gaining and losing a few tenths, as you would imagine, the natural ebb and flow of this circuit. But now right under the rear wing of the Spaniard. Great effort from Fiducci, to get this underway. And that's really going to help, maintain his momentum. As we see lots of fighting going on towards the sort of third or fourth row of this particular battle. There's Jack Keithley. He's gained a few, up to 7th now from his start. But look at the scrapping going on behind him.
Yeah, Kadlacik and Hookveld switching positions as well. Look backwards from Pinsesh. With Keithley moving his way up the order up to 7th place. It's starting to look a bit more reminiscent of a Keithley position. Look at that battling though, as Christopher Hookveld, first race winner at Suzuka, is trying to go around the outside of Kadlacik, who was so impressive at Shanghai. One thing that I'm just going to throw out there when it comes to this circuit, Bence Banky's only in 12th place, a 2-time race win around here is, Adam, that's run wide and opened you up for Kadlacik to go around the outside. That's not really going to work at 5 though, because it's a long way around there. Nearly opened the door as well for Hookveld to get into it. As I was saying though, Banky, a 2-time race winner here, who finished second to him in that second race though? It was one Mr. Gianmarco Fiducci, who's currently running in second. Pounced a little bit late as well to get by Gergo Baldi, did the Italian, once Bence Banky had also made his move. I think you can see Fiducci making a move a little bit later in the race. He knows how to race around this circuit. We ride on board with a Team Fordzilla driver. He is really looking like a man on form right now.
Yeah, like you say, he could well be playing the intelligent game, just not making that move too early, and then it would open him up to a counter-attack from Nestor Garcia. So he's broken away to good, 6/10 or so between himself and Yarshall. So he's done brilliantly well to just nail himself to the back of the race leader. So, wow, you can see Nestor Garcia, he's feeling the pressure. He goes very, very early, unnecessarily so, to that defensive line. I mean, Fiducci wasn't in a position to attack, but you can see he's feeling the pressure. And really, I thought there was a bit more of a gap between Fiducci and Yarshall. He's closed that back up again. He's dragging Hasse with him. So again, I remember commenting we had a strong contingent of Germans in the podium. We only had one race where all 3 of them were German. All 3 of the podium winners were German, I seem to recall, we had on the qualifiers. But look at this, the top 4 just not even 1.5 seconds apart.
And they're pulling away from the virtual drivers by TX3 duo of Leon Rudiger and Ottaviani, which will not be happy for one Mr. Jack Keithley, who's staring at the back of them thinking, I need to gain some more. Looking further down in the pack as we've got Pfeiffer battling it out here, trying to go, trying to fend off Luciano Badin as well, with Julian Kunze for Euronics Gaming, one of the 4 drivers a little bit further down the order, whilst 2 of his teammates are trying to battle it for victory. Here's Williams Esports' Jack Keithley trying to find his way through on the Italian of Ottaviani. That top 4, my curiosity comes from Tim Yarshall and Florian Haase with, do they work together? Are they going to use themselves, and how much is Haase going to fight Yarshall? The way round they have it now is probably the ideal sense, because Tim Yarshall is quite an aggressive driver and Florian Haase is a little bit more relaxed and patient. How that's going to play out when it comes to the checkered flag in not too long, there's only one way to find out, and that's to stay with us.
That's a very uncomfortable position for Jack Keithley. Whoa, that was getting close between himself and Adam Pinses going into turn 12. But and now looking at Florian Haase again, just maintaining that position. A little bit deep going through 14-15, but keeps the momentum. But that's going to cost him a bit onto that crucial straight, I think. Florian Haase, so won't rule him out of contention, but he won't be able to help if he is working with Tim Yarshall. He won't be able to really do anything else. But again, Fiducci, brilliant job just staying in the tire tracks of Garcia. It's a risky move though, because if he leaves it too late, then Garcia is just going to win by default. As we now see Jack Keithley, and that's that. He's fending off Adam Pinses. We saw them side by side on that back straight as we were watching the lead battle. But Jack Keithley, look how much time that's cost him against Ottaviani. He was right with him a lap ago.
Yeah, I think this is it. Around a circuit like this, it may be wide open for racing, but the more you do it, the more time you lose. Oh, my goodness me. These two used to, in a sense, be ex-teammates when Adam Pinses was a part of the Williams sort of academy when he was Williams Gym Esports, moved over to AAA. So they've got history with each other. They've got, whether you can say a decent relationship, they know what each other's strengths and weaknesses are. So Keithley will be sat there thinking, oh, mate, just back it off so I can get on with these lot. Running towards the carousel again. Look at Florian Haas's not quite able to keep up with the top trio. The podium running away at the moment. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. This will be the penultimate lap here at Aragon, the first race of the grand final in the CUPRA E-Racing competition this evening. Nestor Garcia leading from Fiduci, Yarshall, Haase and Leon Rudinger as well. It is pretty feisty out there. Is Gianmarco Fiduci going to pounce? And if so, where is he going to do it? The obvious thing is to do it into the hairpin. Let's be honest, though, with Gianmarco Fiduci, obvious isn't in his repertoire. He would love to do it somewhere just completely unexpected.
Very true, and you need to do something, out of the box to surprise someone like Nestor Garcia. Again, you see the lead car go to that defensive line very, very early. He's making a statement of intent. Give it a go. I know you're there. Oh, that's close for Fiduci. He's gone a little bit too deep, but Yarshall wasn't able to capitalize on it. That's going to slightly compromise Fiduci's exit from that turn 16 hairpin. As we look at Martin Barner now, who is fending off Christoph Högfeld, who's been in that midfield pack all race long, with Bente Banki right behind him. Wow, my goodness me, no matter where you look, there's fighting going on. Another four-way battle right behind them. Is Högfeld going to make a move? Again, he's jumped out from the slipstream. No, not quite. As we come into the first turn, that's very close. That's Kunze. That's got that one wrong. Bit of door rubbing going on. That's Luciano Bedin that's going past him. Nice outside manoeuvre there. Was that Pfeiffer coming? That was Max Pfeiffer, beg your pardon.
Slow down.
Oh, no.
Or maybe he just wanted to leave the position back because he wasn't particularly clean into T1. Whoa, Nestor Garcia's pulled out a gap here. And now Tim Yarshall is all over the back of the feisty Italian of Gianmarco Fiduci. Two quite aggressive drivers on track together. What's going to happen between the two of them? I think there's been a few mistakes, and that looks pretty sketchy over the inside of 9 there for Gianmarco Fiduci. I wonder if he's going to have a bill to pay on that one. We know he's been sort of accustomed to picking up the odd slowdown penalty before. It cost him a podium chance and maybe even the potential chance of a race victory at Dubai in the CUPRA Sim Racing Series, and such emotion we saw on that day from Fiduci. Nestor Garcia is looking pretty good. A few corners to go, but look, closing in a bit by bit by bit. You'll see him defend to the inside on this back straightaway. I'm not too sure if he just missed the apex there a little bit. Look at that, all the way over. He's just trying to break the slipstream here. And I think he's broken it enough. 6/10 is his lead over the Italian of Gianmarco Fiduci onto the back straightaway. The first race of the evening. 3 points already bagged to the Spaniard on home soil. Tim Yarshall also not quite close enough. This is very important, though, to kick off the evening in the best possible way. But I think, to use almost a cliche term, discretion is the better part of valour for these drivers, and they are going to hold position to the line, though. The first race of the evening going to go the way of Nestor Garcia. Gianmarco Fiduci and Tim Yarshall behind score their first podium of the evening before we head off to another circuit. It's a good way to start before we go to Silverstone. Probably the best possible way to do so is just being on that podium and carrying the momentum. But for the drivers like Keithley, only 7th. Banki did score himself a point by getting up there. Christopher Högfeld, our first race winner in the qualifiers. Martin Stefanko, just 18th. Wow. Near speechless with some of this. What a way to start the evening. Already drama. And we've not even got started.
Well, it was to be expected, wasn't it? Again, you've got such amazing drivers. The caliber top to bottom is pretty damn impressive. They fought off the rest of the competition. So this really is, finding the best of the best. Wow. You can't take it away from Garcia, though. That was just, he did exactly what he needed to do when he needed to do it. Fair play to Tim Yarshall for getting the fastest lap as well. But yes, some surprising names out of position. It's not all done and dusted, though. Still 3 rounds to go.
Never done and dusted, especially not this early. We had the Silverstone National next, and how that one is going to play into the evening. A wildly different circuit to what we have here. When you consider the length of Aragon, the length of Spa, then you consider the, in air quotes, length of Silverstone National. It's a short circuit. It is more, accustomed to running touring cars and stuff, obviously with the British Touring Car Championship. But how is that going to play into the hands of some of these drivers? It's an open setup. Now, they can change anything, but obviously, you find those things that work for you, and maybe they work for you better on a longer track than they do on a shorter track.
Very true, and your own natural driving style will always kind of favour you to one type of circuit or another. But equally, there are just some tracks that are just bogey tracks. There are just some places you never, ever do well. So, it's going to be interesting to see whether the pecking order really changes for this session. But, the track, very, very different. You don't have those, really tight technical elements in this layout of Silverstone that some drivers really, really favour. It's more of a flowing circuit, not many particular braking points. So again, we'll possibly favour more the defensive type of driver because there's not all that many, big, bold overtaking places. We'll see.
We will indeed. Well, there is your current points standings with Nestor Garcia on top. 18 points goes his way. Fiducci and Yarshall in behind. We are about to head to Silverstone, though, after this. Not too far away from Northampton and Milton Keynes lies the home of British motorsport, right in the heart of England, a circuit that needs no introduction. It is, of course, the Silverstone circuit, and with it, the national layout. How is it going to play in? Opened in 1947, a fantastic venue, a real staple in not only British motorsport, but that of world motorsport, and bringing such a fantastic series and a huge part of it as well to this venue. I think Jack Keithley will want to win on home soil here, and especially to back up what was not particularly his proudest drive in the previous race, Lewis McGlade with Chris Buxton. What a spicy way to start the evening, though.
Absolutely, and I would imagine that that heat is going to follow us through all 4 rounds. Now, as a reminder, we have a qualifying session that precedes every single race, so the grid is determined on its own merit. So that's a little bit of a slide there from the number 5 coming through that cut-through section. But yeah, so we don't have randomized grids this time. We reverse grids rather. Each race has its own qualifying session. So this is, again, we keep coming back to the word consistency. And this is really going to epitomise how well those drivers that can just keep nailing those results time and again. Doesn't necessarily have to be the top spot each time, although Nestor Garcia may well have not had that memo. So we look at the details of one of our younger competitors, Markovic. At just the tender age of 16, only started competing in competitions this year, but still has proven himself good enough to fend off some amazing names to get through to this event alone. P20 overall in the WTCR series. P20 may not sound a lot, but when you consider how many people take part in these things, you then realise having, as a novice, that is a pretty good accolade on its own merit.
Yeah, I think he's the youngest driver on the grid, but not by much, because Kadlachik is only about a month older, realistically. We've actually got a few drivers on this grid that haven't really done too much racing recently. Max Pfeiffer as well is one of them. I think I read that he'd only started sim racing this year. Of course, Mika Raikkonen, who's been out of action courtesy of is it a back
a spine injury,
a spinal, yeah, absolutely. And here he is racing on quite a competitive grid, let's be honest. So it's great to have him back in the sim racing world. I'm sure he'll want to do slightly better than what happened in Aragon. But here's the difference. You go from it's still a 10-minute qualifying session. You go from a session though where you can only realistically get 5 laps on the board, well, 4 if you include your outlet, to a circuit where 10 minutes is almost too long. You can get so many laps on the board. You have so many opportunities. Yeah, I think we're going to see a wide open qualifying session here, with the exception of one thing, and that's the track excursions at T1, because they're quite brutal.
Yeah, and look at this lot here. Now, none of these guys are doing themselves any favours, realistically, but I bet you they're still having a good old amount of fun doing it. A bit of door rubbing there between Rachel and the red card to his left. 100% sure who that is.
I think it's Markovic.
That's Markovic, I beg your pardon. Yeah, so They're still enjoying themselves, but yeah, they need to be finding themselves some space. But that is really difficult to do when the track is this short. I mean, anyone that follows Formula One, we just had the outer loop of Bahrain, only yesterday, and that's exactly the problem they had. Is that the sub-minute laps going on a track? It's really difficult to find any space, and this is something the drivers are going to have to deal with. They're going to have to sort of run right behind someone. There it is on board with RaceRoom. You'd be forgiven. We're in the midst of the race already.
It's quite tight out there. He says there's 23 cars. Lena Tocchi, the only one missing. Markovic dropping it wide there as we head on to the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands again. It's super fast. That's the Grand Prix loop effectively cut off as we already run into Brooklands corner. Such a fantastic corner on the modern layout, and I love it. This left-hander tightening up into Luffield afterwards. So much curb, though, from Mikael Rekel, and far too much. I did notice he had quite a snap into Kopp's corner as well. First time on the board then from Jack Keithley, so a provisional pole, obviously. How long will it stand? Well, Martin Barner thinks not at all. Tim Yarshall already goes to the top. Barner only good enough for 6th place. Won't be particularly happy with that. A German front row with Leon Rudinger, but whereabouts Gianmarco Verducci can only go 4th. Nestor Garcia, though, when's he going to pop his head up? Only 9th to start the session. My goodness me.
Yeah, but this is going to be one of those sessions there where the blink of an eye will separate 10 places. So, yeah, expect that whole order to shuffle around within the remaining 7.5 minutes. And again, Tim Yarshall just demonstrated exactly what Rachel just experienced. You catch that apex too hard at Brooklands, and these cars don't ride it well. It just spits them out. And that really upsets your entry into Luffield. Now, granted, you could, yes, it's a short track. You can recover fairly quickly, but that section is one of the quickest bits of it. So, you're flat out almost through Luffield, through Woodcote, a little bit of a lift through Copse. You lose a lot of time because you're on the gas for so long, comparatively speaking, after Luffield. So you need to be getting that, that slower section right.
But that lap from Tim Yarshall is absolutely mega. When you consider the times that we were having before this and sort of like that build-up practice session, Pinsage was the fastest, and it was only a time that was 9 thousandths faster than that. The thing is, this session that we've got, this sort of leaderboard that we've got, looking at those sort of times prior to this, most of the grid are separated by about 0.2 of a second. Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we had that right now. Nestor Garcia's time there, only putting him in 9th, and you are absolutely right, is that around a longer circuit, you've almost got that you've got that length where you can almost miss an apex. You can almost be imperfect, and yet if you're fast enough, you can still kind of get up there. Around a circuit like this, the only thing that will get you pole position is complete perfection, and it is tantalizingly close and superbly annoying when you make the tiniest mistake and you think, oh, it's fine, I'll still be 5th, and then you look at the lead, oh, I'm 18th.
Yeah. Whilst you've made the point earlier that they can get a lot of laps in, we come back to the mental game again. Frustration breeds frustration.
Yes.
So, you make a mistake once, you think, all right, I'll just back off a little bit. You can't. You've got 6 cars behind you. Finding gaps is very, very difficult, although Jack Heatley does seem to have found an ideal bit of space where he's got no one anywhere near his tail. And you don't want anybody right behind you. And he's up to 2nd, 3 thousandths ahead of Barner. So again, we're already seeing the top part of the field completely shaken up. Our last race winner, only 2.5 tenths behind, but in 10th.
Was that Ottaviani getting a slipstream from Gianmarco Verducci, I believe? I wonder if these two are sort of working together. Around here, it was Gianmarco Verducci as well in the number 16, Team Fordzilla. It's interesting to see some drivers working together because slipstream is quite important. We're already halfway through the session. Ottaviani to the line, looking pretty good. Purple first sector, decent second, fairly decent final. Crosses the line, only 11th place. Here we are with Nestor Garcia picking up a little bit of slipstream from Christian Kwiatkowski, who runs wide at Brooklands and almost distracts the Spaniard, our championship leader at the moment, in the final. Nestor Garcia is not looking so hot right now. A purple first sector, a decent second one, but I do get the feeling, I do get the vibe that this final sector is not going to be so hot. What are we going to do towards the line then? Nestor Garcia, Red Bull Racing Esports across it. It's not good enough. He is still 10th. Stefanko just ahead of him. I don't think he'll be particularly pleased with 9th place either.
No, but I bet you they're still pushing like absolute maniacs to find those crucial hundredths of a second. We're not talking tenths. We're not talking half a second. Hundreds, and in some cases thousands of a second. Again, look at the top 10. You've got fourth to eighth. That's a tenth apart. That's 2 rows of the grid, for goodness sake. So yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. This is what these shorter tracks really do generate, is this really intense close racing. Again, not all drivers handle that very well. You come back to handling the pressure when the cars are that closely. Wow, Florian Hasse, that's close.
Big from
and
Hasse.
Rudiger as well, jumping into third, 77 thousandths off the top spot. Wow, great effort from the TX3 driver as well. Great effort. Again, it's the Germans ruling the roost on British soil this time.
Absolutely great first sector as well from Leon Rudiger. It is like this kind of qualifying session is like the ultimate, like, you need to get a banker lap in that's good early, because like you say, frustration breeds frustration. Stefanko goes to 8th place. Nestor Garcia, by the way, got up to 7th, or whatever good that is. Gianmarco Fiducci only 10th. Frustration breeds frustration. You're absolutely right. You could not be more right on that front. And if you get a good bank lap in early, it just sort of calms you down for the rest of the session. Leon Rudiger looking pretty good in the first sector and the second sector to the line. Is there any improvement? Oh, it's a great final sector as well. But still only third. To improve and to stay in position, there isn't much more frustrating than that. He's still got enough time to do a single final lap. Gianmarco Fiducci, with all of the work to do, he will be quite frustrated for Team Fordzilla at the moment. Only 10th place, and the Italian, after a great drive to get second in the previous race. Oh, and he's made another mistake. Oh my goodness me. And with traffic as well, he will be absolutely livid.
Yeah. Is that Hookveld that he nearly tangled with as he was coming through the cut through there? Quite sure.
I think Ottaviani.
Ottaviani, beg your pardon. But look at that. First to 5th, a 10th of a second. 2.5 rows in this time it takes you to blink. That is absolutely incredible. But look at the traffic around Fiducci. This is a horrible situation he's in. So many people around him, and only in a minute and a half. He's got 2 laps at best. He's got no choice. He's got to just keep pushing. Same as these guys. Yeah, everybody in this particular pack. They don't have time to kind of rethink what they're doing. Nestor Garcia jumps up to 7th position. That's someone facing the wrong way. But that's absolutely 1,000th of a second between Garcia and Fiducci now.
But how did Fiducci do a time that got him into an improvement? He slid through maggots onto the Wellington Straight, so he would have lost time from that. He also had a car, being what we believe is Ottaviani, and he still improved to 8th. There is so much more time in that tank, but it's so hard to nail because everything, you're so on the limit. Martin Barner improving a little bit, but he pulls off of his lap, and that'll be his session done. 5th place, though, for AAA Esports. He is well ahead of his teammate Adam Pintez in behind, down in 10th place. Who are we with here? Max Pfeiffer, 16th place for him, and I don't think we're going to see an improvement. His final lap coming to a conclusion. Bence Banky gets himself inside the top 10, up into 9th place, deposing Martin Stefanko down to 10th. Tim Yarshall still good at the top with Florian Hasse, his teammate, locking out the front row for Euronics Gaming. They are all in the pits. No one is... We've got Keithley Garcia and a couple of others still out on circuit, but it's not looking good for Nestor Garcia, and he pulls off of that one. Whoa, what a feisty session. Front row of the grid, dominated by Euronics Gaming. Williams Esports' Jack Keithley up in 4th. I think he'll be a bit happy with that. But our... championship leader, Nestor Garcia, just 7th.
Oh, talk about a change of the guard. Goodness me, that was absolutely incredible. But, whilst there are a few points on offer, and that is going to help to shake up the order of the championship a little bit, it's going to be that opening lap that is going to be the telling one. Getting out of the pack, getting into that, bit of clean space. You can do all the practice in the world. You could, be the quickest by a 10th or a second or whatever. That first lap goes wrong, and it's all for naught.
This could be good for Tim Yarshall, though. I brought up the statistic last round, and I'll bring it up again because whilst we're on it, we might as well still keep with it, that pole position in this series so far does translate to race victory. Is that going to change now? Well, for Tim Yarshall, I'm sure they're not going to play, there's prize money in offer, so I'm not sure they're going to play too well together. But he does have his teammate, Florian Haase, who is, quite a loyal driver and a good teammate to have, indirectly behind. I think for Tim Yarshall, considering his main rivals at the moment of Nestor Garcia and Gianmarco Fiducci have not qualified very well, and he's qualified in the pole position, knowing that statistic, and also we're at a track which is really hard to pass at, things are looking quite good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. The setups are open, so these cars are not all equal. Again, it'd be even more intense, I'd imagine, if all the setups were fixed. But so these the setups and all the practicing they've done are at the peak they could possibly be. So let's have a look at current 5th place in the standings without any penalties at the moment. There's Leon Rudiger. And again, what a great set of statistics. They've qualified for the Feed Race and Formula 4 shootout for next year. Top 10 in DTM Esports this year. And, a couple of podiums for Porsche Esports. Again, some great and varied cars as well, you can also argue. So, on his way to, the real-life racing spots where he can. He's had a pretty good start at it, by the look.
And he's having a good start to the evening as well. You say he's done well at Aragon. He's 5th in the standings. Having qualified in 4th place here as well. 3rd place, sorry. I said 4th. Yeah. Jack Keithley's 4th. Rudiger's doing, I think, all of us a little bit, we're a bit surprised at the moment with this, because don't get me wrong, I would have expected maybe to be inside the top 10, but to be battling up towards the front, what a great change of form. Here are your standings heading into the race here at Silverstone. Nestor Garcia, who's starting from 7th place ahead of Gianmarco Fiducci, who's conveniently starting 8th place. It's Tim Yarshall, though, on the pole position. On British soil, Jack Keithley, obviously we have to be a little bit biased towards the Brits, don't we? Whilst we're at a British track, we have to be. Only 4th place for him, though. Obviously, maybe not too accustomed to racing this car, but I distinctly remember he moved up. I think it might have been 3 places in the previous race, up the order. If he could do 3 places again here, it would be a race victory.
Time will tell, as you say. As you can allow us a little bit of bias to cheer on the home contender, and there he is, just gathering his thoughts, from keeping his focus. Again, the heartbeat's got to be up through the roof at this point. So, it's the moments like these. As a driver, I always hated this, when there's really nothing more you can do. You're just literally staring at the clock. But here we go, down to the grid.
Wow, what a crazy opening race we had, and I think it is set to continue. Tim Yarshall and Florian Haase for Euronics Gaming on the front row of the grid, the 2 teammates, and that run into Cops for the very first time. We are underway at Silverstone in the CUPRA E-Racing Competition finale, and it is Tim Yarshall with a great launch ahead of his teammate Florian Haase, Leon Rudiger and Jack Keithley all getting away pretty cleanly in the background as we run slightly down the hill towards Maggots and that important corner onto the back straightaway. It's the national layout for those of you just joining, and look at them all fanning out and trying to find themselves some track position. Jack Keithley trying to get up the inside of Leon Rudiger and maybe try and make a move around the outside of Brooklands. It'll be brave if he can try it. Rudiger coming across and trying to grab the slipstream from Florian Haase as the 2 Euronics Gaming drivers are trying to run away with things. Jack Keithley switches it back, elevator move back down the inside. Oh, that's absolutely stunning from Jack Keithley. Up to 3rd place, the Brit, trying to chase down Florian Haase and Tim Yarshall as well. That's a brilliant way to open the race at Silverstone.
Oh, that was a stormer from Jack Keithley. I did wonder whether he was going to try and string out on the outside of Brooklands to maintain that inside on the left field. He didn't. He did the switch back on Rudiger and really made it work. Brilliantly done. Looks like the field has survived. Oh, just as I say that, right behind Kunze is Luciano Betti getting very, very quickly coming through Cops, down to the cut through. Well played by our drivers at the moment. as Fiducci then in 7th position, fending off the race winner, last time out, Nestor Garcia, which is no mean feat whatsoever. But look at the gap that's already forming between himself and Högfeld. He's having a decent run. Oh, as Garcia tries the same move, but Fiducci tries to shut the door with Garcia still in it. So Fiducci, the Italian, going to have the inside line, but that has pushed Garcia out as he lost another spot to Banchi. The Spaniard trying his best to fend that off. Fiduci's now got the opportunity to try and run off into the distance. Oh, very close, coming through to complete the lap through Woodcut, and Garcia just about hangs on to 8th position. But that looks like, is that Banchi losing out of position now?
He nearly was to Pinces as well. He's now having to defend from Stefanko. Pinces got by Stefanko as well just a lap ago. Stefanko dropping outside of the top 10. Great move from Fiducci to get by Nestor Garcia into this corner on the previous lap and up into 7th place. Now going to try and close down what is quite a large gap after their opening salvos to Christopher Högfeld, who is running right away in 6th place from this pack behind. Nestor Garcia is wasting no time trying to get onto the back of the Italian, who was staring at the back of him for the entirety of the race at Motorland Aragon. Obviously for a slightly better position than where they're currently running. Tim Yarshall still leading the way from Florian Haase and Jack Keithley. The top 6 all basically in one line as well, with Liam Rudinger, Martin Barner and Christopher Högfeld in behind. Fiducci, Garcia, Banchi, all drivers we'd expect to be towards the front, of course, especially with Fiducci and Garcia, who are 1 and 2 in the standings heading into this. They will not be leaving Silverstone if they not in the top 2 in the championship. They wouldn't be leaving that position. Not good for them. Tim Yarshall would be taking the lead as things stand. A good 14 points to his name coming into this race, with 11 points in the previous race, and then 3 points from qualifying as well. Things looking good for Yarshall at the moment as we approach the halfway point of the evening very rapidly. What an evening it is as well.
Yeah, as we've had all series long, just the races fly by because they're so action-packed. The entertainment from our drivers has been absolutely top-notch, and we thank them for it. Look how close Keithley is getting to Haase as well. That battle for second is really getting a lot. Well, the battle's everywhere, obviously, but looking back from Florian Haase, that number 5 guy's been getting bigger and bigger. And we now come through into the cut-through area. Keithley trying to get a decent run. Oh, the tail just got a little bit lively. You saw that he had to start turning left into a right-hander. That just cost him that little bit of momentum. And that's allowed Florian Haase to remain unchallenged heading towards Brooklands. But Yarshall, again, just doing what he needs to do, not doing anything silly. Oh, here we go again. Oh, what a move from Garcia. Can he slow it down? Fiducci trying to get back underneath him as they come through Brooklands. That's going to force the Italian to the outside line from Luffield. Garcia should be able to hang on to that, which he does. Fiducci can't attack back. Wow, that was a big, big move from Nestor Garcia, but it has paid off. But Fiducci is in the prime position to counterattack. Again, Garcia going to that defensive line, heading down towards Kopf once again. And he's managed to hold on to the position, but he's going to have to defend very, very hard to keep Fiducci behind him.
Massively bold from the Spaniard, but it's allowed Christopher Högfeld. He's now 2.5, nearly 3 seconds clear ahead. It was actually close to 2 once the times have come back together. But either way, they are allowing this top 6 to run away. The top 6 are allowing the top 3 to run away. Tim Yarshall, Florian Haase and Jack Keithley. Now, no disrespect, and this isn't British bias or anything like that, but I'd either like Haase to get by Yarshall or to drop back behind Keithley, because these 3 have battled quite a lot in their careers in RaceRoom. But Jack Keithley and Tim Yarshall, they're 2 aggressive drivers, and there's just something spicy about those 2 being on track together, and I'd love to see a battle here at Silverstone to see which one of those 2 is going to take top honours. At the moment, it's going the way of Yarshall. Euronics Gaming 1-2. They've got 4 drivers in this, with Julian Kunze, who's a little bit down the order, only 13th. One of the qualifiers, I believe it was from the first round as well, that he managed to qualify for Suzuka, if I remember correctly. It was a long time ago, mind. Mikhail Rakel as well, the other Euronics Gaming who got through in the hot lap qualifiers. Yarshall then leading at the moment in the points by just 7, which realistically is not much But Nestor Garcia and Florian Haase behind would be joint on 22 points. So the opening part of the evening looking pretty favourable for Tim Yarshall. Reminder that there's 4 races tonight. We've already completed our trip to Motorland Aragon, now to Silverstone. After this, we head to Spa and then to Nürburgring. Jack Keithley looking to get himself a victory after a fairly disappointing run in the previous round at Motorland Aragon. We know he's quite good at Spa, at longer tracks like that. We'll see if he can carry momentum. It's important to start that trip now, though, because we know that qualifying session at Spa is going to be intensely contested. A little bit of a stretch of the arm, maybe feeling almost a light bit of fatigue from the heavy amount of racing that we've seen so far this evening. Almost tried going around the outside of Brooklands and maybe picking up a cutback on the German of Florian Haase. Nothing quite working yet. He's committed to the outside of Luffield. You kind of get the feeling he's constantly trying to go for a longer drive out the corner, but it's just not quite there. He's in the slipstream heading into Copse, but I don't think he's going to quite be able to do it.
It looks like he's got a slight, and I mean only slight, pace advantage over Haase. But Florian's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's not defending fresh air. He's just positioning his car exactly where he needs to be. Is this now an opportunity for Keithley? There is a bit of a braking zone as they come into that cut through. And again, no, Haase is just positioned exactly where he needs to be. I think Keithley's going to have to get his elbows out if he wants to get past the German that's already ahead of him. And now's the only opportunity where he can actually let go of his steering wheel. Oh, look at that. He literally can't see anything past the bumper of Haase. He's trying to do a switchback, but Haase shut the door. Again, I wonder if Keithley was trying to initially size up the outside maneuver for Brooklands. The inside for Luffield is where they really need to be. But again, Florian Haase, brilliant job of defending, and that's just giving Tim Yarshall just a little few tenths of breathing space he needs now, less than a minute to go.
Yeah, final lap of the race. What is going to happen? Tim Yarshall leading by 0.4 of a second over his teammate Florian Haase, who I think his eyes are firmly stuck on his mirrors to the Brit behind. Jack Keithley trying to move his way up into second position. Each time they go through a corner is an opportunity ticked off. I wonder if Keithley's going to try a similar move to what he did to Leon Rudinger, where he did the elevate move. He switched back to the inside at the last moment into Brooklands, and it worked so well for him. Seen him do that in the EWTCR a few times as well. I'm not sure if he's quite close enough. Florian Haase definitely isn't close enough to Tim Yarshall ahead. There goes Jack Keithley, leaving it down the inside. There's contact between the two of them. I don't think he'll be too happy. Look at the determination on Jack Keithley's face as he's squeezing him across. There's contact between the two. High drama. Florian Haase is going to hang on. I don't think Jack Keithley will be too impressed with that out of the final corner of the race, though. Through Woodcote for the final time. The second race of the evening is going to go the way of Tim Yarshall at Silverstone. A fantastic drive from him. Dominant from start to finish over his teammate Florian Haase. And it's a Euronics Gaming 1-2 as we head into the halfway point of the season. Jack Keithley will be bitterly disappointed with third.
Well, he may well be, but I think I was trying to force a move that wasn't quite there. There wasn't enough room for Keithley to realistically make a move, but he gave it his best. He gave it his best. He comes away with the fastest lap, so he's got a bit of a bragging right there, if nothing else. But he had to try something. He had to do something out of the box to try and force the move.
What a race, though. What a race. Halfway done in the evening, and this is looking fantastic. Loving this 4-track format. What a race it was, though, from Tim Yarshall, Florian Haase and Jack Keithley. Rudinger and Barner in behind. I'm sure they'll be impressed. Christopher Hugfeld doing a little bit of a decent recovery. Garcia and Fiducci, though, only 7th and 8th. When they came into this round, it was 1 and 2. And now they are going to be dropping quite a way back as well. Bence Banky and Adam Pintes in behind, scoring some points for themselves as well. A feisty evening of action we are seeing, but let's take a little bit of a look at the car we are driving.
Alex and Jordi, I think this is the first time you guys meet, but Alex is the physics designer and he made the behavior of the CUPRA E-Racer. Jordi, if you want to already start with your feedback.
No, I just said that the car is quite nice to drive. It's a difficult car to drive. It's very difficult to drive it in real life as well. It's a car that is quite heavy, but it's very powerful. You have to handle the acceleration very well. And at the same time, you have to be careful because as it is heavy, any mistake you make, it lasts for longer than, let's say, the CUPRA TCR.
Yeah, I was very surprised by how, especially at the rear of the car, it's quite different.
First time I drove the car, the entry of the corner was not very nice, but I don't know if it was you that managed to get the regeneration on the rear axle. That helped a lot, because when we have some regen, it's rear torque. We managed to rotate a little bit better on the apex of the corner. So this was one of the most difficult parts, and we had to work a lot on suspension, setup, how we use the tires. Since you've made these changes that I can change the regeneration now on the steering wheel, what I can do in my racing car, the car got really closer to what I have on track. One of the good things of electric cars is that you have to play some strategy in the races. To have the capability to use power more in the beginning or more on the end, that could change a race strategy. You need a smart driver, not only a quick driver. You need a smart driver to make use of all these little bits and capacities of the car. So the one that has better strategy and drives better on cost down and is fast is the one that wins the race. And we have 5 different maps, 5 different engine maps with different power outputs. So we have the amount of regeneration that you already did, and you did very well. There are many things that the driver can change on the racing car. When we go race qualifying, everything is on maximum, full power, and just go maximum for 3-4 laps. But when we have to race, then we have to start playing a little bit with all these possibilities, because the electric motors are very easy to tune. If I talk in horsepower, I think it's around 400 horsepower, it's the minimum map, to the 650 or 80 that can deliver in maximum power.
How does it seem to you in the high-speed turns? Is the behaviour correct?
And in the high-speed curves of Notchlife, it's quite good. It's quite real. Top speed also is very real. I think we managed to get in Notchlife was 260 something, which is our top speed in that case. So that is very close. Braking, turning, high speed. Also, the car is good because it's a car that tends to understeer a little bit, but when you release the throttle, the rear end moves, and in that car, the same thing happens. That's surprisingly close to what I have on the race car. The technology of an electric car is completely different to a petrol combustion engine. So that's why there are many areas that normally you never take care about when you drive a petrol combustion, like this regeneration, that everything that you can change from the steering wheel. There are many more changes that you can do on the steering wheel that will affect your driving. This normally doesn't happen on a petrol combustion. So it's good to know that they have to have their own strategies. They have to understand that they have to use this capacity of the electric motors to pull the car, and use the rest of that. Driving also changed a little bit because when we have so much power and so much torque, the lines on the car are a bit different. That after 10-15 laps you realize that you cannot drive exactly the same way you drive in a petrol car. You have to brake a bit more, try to turn with a little bit less time. So you have to try to make corners a bit shorter in order to have the car straight and be able to put the power down. Otherwise, with so much torque, you never manage to get to transmit this power. So it's a different way of driving, and it's a different approach on how you use the power, and also if you have the capacity, how you make your race strategy in order to have the best moment till the very last meter of the race. So there are few things that are different on an electric car that doesn't happen on a combustion car.
Thank you. That's great. To all the players, I know they will take that as a tip on how to drive the car. So that's really interesting.
A pleasure. Not only with Eraser, also the help I had with TCR, Leon Competition, which was also good fun. It was my very first time I was in this world, and I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot. So I hope that when I have a simulator at home, we can continue and I can keep part of this experience for longer. Graphics are very nice. The car is really nice.
to the Ardennes, to the northeast of Stavelot, and with it, one of the most recognisable locations in the motorsport world. A true classic, a unique test, and most importantly, a wonderfully open and raceable track. It is, of course, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, and what a fantastic way to continue what is a tense and tight night here to finalise the CUPRA E-Racing competition. We're halfway through already. We're here at Spa, and our championship is mighty tight. Tim Yarshall, after taking victory at Silverstone, is leading the way by 29.7 clear of Nestor Garcia after taking that victory at Motorland Aragon. Florian Haase in behind. You can see the standings there. Gianmarco Fiducci with a bit of a disappointment at Silverstone. How things can change though. Jack Keithley, a disappointment at Motorland Aragon, maybe a bit more happy with his results at Silverstone, heading into a circuit which is going to be incredibly difficult to qualify on. 2.5 minute lap basically, and just a 10-minute session, meaning you need to make every second of this session count. How tricky is it going to be? Well, we're going to be talking you through it. Lewis McGlade alongside me, Chris Buxton. The night continues.
Yep, that it does. One of the most iconic tracks in motor racing, irrespective of category. Everybody knows this one. But one aspect that these drivers are going to have to bear in mind, probably more so than any other track tonight, is power management. This track is a monster, 7 kilometers long. They can't just afford to stick the foot down and forget about it. We had people fall foul of that at Suzuka, let alone at Spa. So, yeah, they can't just put the foot down and worry about the rest as it goes. They will run out of battery if they do that. So they're going to have, that's an additional element. They're going to have to deal with everything else. And we've seen how close the grids already are. So, yeah, this one should be amazing.
Saw the fact that just appeared on the screen. Virtual drivers by TX3 have 5 drivers. Of course, qualifying into this, Euronics Gaming had 5 drivers, although they already lost one prior to the evening with Leon Otoki, who wasn't able to participate in the evening's proceedings. But the reason I bring that up and the importance of it is when it comes to a circuit like this, slipstream is quite important, and when it comes to that in a qualifying session to move your way up the grid, potentially working in a slipstream train, how many times in racing competition in Cooper Sim Racing Series, or maybe even the EWTCR Championship, the slipstream, we've seen Mirror Esports absolutely nail this, and no other team has quite got it right. But what a track, and what an important time it would be to get that slipstream train working and to work together to move the entire group up the order.
There's so much time to be gained along the Camel Straight if you can get it. I mean, if you're brave, you can do it through Paul Frey and Blanchimont as well. But down that Camel Straight is immense amount of times to be gained. Although again, no one's told Jack Keithley that as he's blasting on with the practice at the moment. But yeah, if they can pair up with someone, or if you can just latch onto the back of somebody else that's trying to help their own teammate, you stand to gain time. But it generally needs someone to sacrifice their lap to help the person behind them. And the lap is that long. They only will have two realistically decent laps. So this is going to be tight.
It certainly is. The thing is, we were saying this about going into this, is that the practice that we've had prior to all of this, like over basically the numbers that we pulled from last night, Garcia was the foreman, and not too far behind him was Leon Rudiger. But the two of them, as we've been told by Rob, our broadcast director, were clear by quite a margin of everyone else. It's 3 or 4 tenths over everyone else, and that's big. That is big. We just saw nearly well, how much of the grid qualified within 3 tenths at Silverstone, and those two are clear by that much. Of course, it's such a long circuit round here as we ride on board with Jack Keithley just on his outlap. I think we'll keep focused on him when he sets that time lap. But look at this ahead of him. Clear air. He is not. I mean, there's no other Williams Esports driver in this. Oh no, there is Martin Schafanko. Silly boy. I forgot that Schafanko was a Williams Esports man. But he's not wanting to work in the group. He's just wanting to get out there and to nail the lap, and how important that might be. He's not looking to faff around trying to get that lap on the board.
And that's the other danger, is that if you get the slipstream wrong, you've ruined the lap for both of you.
Yeah.
So, I would think Jack has just decided to go for the clean air option, not trip over anybody, and just run his times. Again, we saw Nestor Garcia with a completely empty track ahead of him. I mean, you make a good point that some drivers were 0.3 quicker than others, but the lap is so long that 0.3 can be made up in almost one corner. It's so, we'll see if that really makes a big enough impact. As we see Tim Yarshall hanging on to the back of Jack Keithley at the moment, almost flies off the road coming through Paul Frey, but does hang on to that. One mistake. Again, a lot of the lap is with the right foot buried through the floor. So if someone makes a mistake, and we've seen how this car gets unsettled on those curves, we could see a few people off into the barriers.
He's trying to catch Jack Keithley here. Keithley's not going to wait up to try and get one of his rivals, Tim Yarshall, on the back of Tim Yarshall, who's just gone through now. That was Julian Kunze. That's another Euronics Gaming driver. So that is Tim Yarshall's teammate sneaking it through to get ahead. Obviously, I'm sure they're coordinating. Tim Yarshall's back off of that, so he's not looking to pick up the slipstream. We're right on board with Julian Kunze. You can see Jack Keithley in a distance there. I don't think he would pick up too much of a slipstream. Let's ride on board then with the German around the lap into the source for the first time. And as we all know, we head down what is quite a steep hill. It doesn't do it justice. You never look at it and think, oh, that's quite steep. But believe me, this is steep. Speaking of steep, through Eau Rouge and then up through Radion. What a section of the track this is. Up through there. Oh, really kicking it. Oh, and that is exactly what we were told. That is exactly what we were told by Robert Wiesenmüller, is do not discount Eau Rouge and Radion as being quite a corner, because in this car it's tricky, and that is already scratched off. One attempt for Jack Keithley. Julian Kunze then the head of the field, heading through Les Combes into Malmedy. We're going to see so much racing, switchbacks and whatnot through here, and then we start heading downhill. What a fast moment this is as we head into Rovage, a very tricky 180 degrees corner, absolutely hooking it. You can find two apexes in there. You can follow the white line round, kind of find one that works for you. There's a couple of lines that work in there, but overtaking around the outside is particularly difficult. Into corner with no name, then into Pouon to effectively two left-handers, a double apex one, run it out wide but not too far. Don't want to cross over that white line, because once you get out there, it's impossible to get back, and you'll get a track cut for your worries as well. Lefania, a definite overtaking opportunity as they come off of Pouon. You can absolutely do one down the inside there, or even the outside if you're feeling brave enough. And I think Tim Yarshall fancies one into here. We've seen him do that into Campus Corner, then Stavolo, and onto the enormously long back straightaway as we head home towards the final chicane. Of course, before they do that, they head through Blanchimont. Absolute commitment. I don't think, though, Chris, we're going to see much overtaking into Blanchimont, because I just don't think anyone's going to be that, I would say brave, I probably mean crazy.
The only time you're going to see overtaking in Blanchimont is if someone's got Stavolo and Paul Frey wrong.
Yeah.
Whilst the setups are open, the top speed's not going to be that much different. So it will rely on a mistake before you see anyone making a move into Blanchimont. Making a move into that chicane, though, almost certainly you'll see some moves going on there as Kunze gets the first time on the board. And it's Yarshall again at the top of the tree. Very nicely done with a 2:19.4. But Jack Keithley demonstrating exactly what I was talking about. Get the curbs wrong at speed, and it's the barrier that greets you. These cars are really easily unsettled with those curbs. And being that you're coming over the crest at the top of Radion, the car is very light and easy to unsettle as it is. So Jack Keithley finding the limits and going well beyond them.
Absolutely. Nestor Garcia out by himself, just trying to put a time on the board. A 19.4 is a little bit slower than what we would have expected from a pole time, and I think Nestor Garcia is about to put an end to that, heading up to the top on a 2:19.2. In practice, he did a 2:18.9, so definitely possible to go even faster. They're just going to keep out and try and do as many laps. They don't need to escape and go and get some more tyres. They're just going to try and continue. And for Nestor Garcia, regardless, if he was to escape, he wouldn't be able to get another time on the board. That's how difficult it is to qualify around here. Look at what the slipstream's doing for Christian Kwiatkowski, who's gone purple in the first sector as well. Saw in chat, freshly crowned 2020 EWTCR champion, Mr. Gergo Baldi, who did not take part in the CUPRA E-Racing competition. I think he was a bit busy focusing elsewhere. Would have been great to see him in this. Of course, his teammate David Nage winning the CUPRA the CUPRA Racing Series in dominant fashion as well. There's Sta-Franco, good through the first sector. Also not picking up much slipstream. Interesting. So this is, what would you do, Chris? How would you do it? Would you be in the pack? Would you be playing quite a risky game that could get you pole? Or would you sit outside of the pack and just do what you do, just set the time you can?
I'd want to be exactly where Sta-Franco is. No one behind, but a gap sufficiently ahead that he will start to pick up the slipstream, heading into potentially the one lap that, the one banzai. He doesn't want to be too close, but he doesn't want to close that gap down. He needs that gap there at this point in time. Oh, careful, Martin. He's going to have enough time to complete one more time lap after now. Yes, he's lost that time in the middle of the sector. May well just want to maintain. He'd probably want to be a tiny bit closer to the car in front right now. But I reckon he's exactly where he's aiming to be. This is probably calculated, or he's fallen into it very fortunately. But he wants this gap. He wants that slipstream for the lap he's about to do.
He does indeed, although he's closing up to Rakel there into the final complex. I believe it's Rakel ahead of him. Regardless, final laps then for these drivers. What can they achieve? Jack Keithley only 8th position, but now he's got a clear run and will be able to complete another time. Of course, I don't have to worry about fueling up, or do they have enough in the tank to get around? Not happy, Jack Keithley. I think he's not happy in the sense that he did a lap behind someone and now he doesn't have any slipstream on his lap. This is where it all went wrong at the start of the session. He won't be happy with 8th place, although I would suggest that if there is a track that you can still win at from 8th place, it would indeed be Spa. Pintes in 6th place, and a lap for Ducci, who maybe won't be too happy with a top 5. He'll desperately want to be up the order. Then Hugfeld, Rudiger, and our front row of the grid as things stand. The 1-2 in the championship, Nestor Garcia and Tim Yarshall. Where is Florian Haase in all of this? Not on that board. There he is, yet to set a time. But look at that first sector. I believe he's on the back of his teammate as well, Tim Yarshall. That's a mighty, mighty first sector. Could he be slamming it onto pole position? Could we see another Euronics Gaming 1-2?
We certainly could. They've got the pace to do it. They've got the consistency to do it. And it looks like they've got the teamwork to get it done as well. But it rather depends on whoever that is ahead of Yarshall. They need to kind of not upset the party a little bit for Haase to maintain that much of a gap throughout the remaining sectors. We'll see. He's coming towards the end of sector 2. We'll see if he's still up by that kind of degree. Oh, someone got that wrong.
Yeah, I think there might be a connection rather than anything else. Because it's something. Oh no, touche. I'll back out of that one.
Well,
it was Mikael Rakel off the road.
Some time lost there for Florian Haase. That it could have been just a distraction from the dust kicking up ahead, but if these two are working together, then Yarshall needs to back out of it pretty much at the last second. I wonder if he's just going to banzai into the middle of. No, he's going to finish the lap. Okay, so he's going to drag Florian Haase all the way to the line. Is it enough? It's enough. He's got time to cross over the line. 21st is where he currently sits. Where will he be over the line? It is fourth.
Nice
My goodness.
Important work.
Very much so. No improvement for Keithley. That's not a surprise.
He's dropping back. Jack Keithley only 10th place behind his teammate Martin Sta-Franco. Oh my goodness me. That is drama late in the session, dropping back. Everything we do in this final tonight causes drama. I'm a little bit terrified for the Nürburgring, I'm not going to lie.
I'd be more worried about the top of Radion, actually. Well, I would think that La Source may be a little bit spicy, but they haven't got up to speed very much by then. It's going to be, as we're on board with Kadlachik at the moment, here is going to be absolutely terrifying on lap 1. Through Eau Rouge, over Radion, particularly, in my opinion, over Radion. If you're side by side with someone up there and you get just a little bit of a twitch, you're in for a whole world of pain.
It's a tricky corner in these cars. Of course, they're rear-wheel drive. They're high in power. not so much in downforce, and they do tend to understeer a little bit. And so when you're going up to that bit, there's a likelihood of just understeering or bottoming out and getting thrown up and over that curb. Maybe not a pretty sight. Well, have to wait and see if anyone does that in the race. You'd have to suspect that someone in the mid-pack with a little bit of dirty air may well do so. Your current standings heading into the race. Tim Yarshall leading it after scoring a couple of points for his efforts in qualifying. Nestor Garcia, though, drags down by a single point. Second place for him, 25 points to his name. Florian Haase, only fourth place for him in that qualifying session. So no points for him. Of course, the points going to the top four. Leon Rudiger, though, with another fantastic qualifying session, scores himself yet another point. And the Virtual Drivers by TX3 man sits fifth in the standings. What's Fiducci going to do? What's Jack Keithley going to do? Keithley only 10th, Fiducci 6th.
I think there are going to be a number of drivers relying on the mistakes of others to be able to make some time up. But, we'll see. We saw, the likes of Jack Keithley really getting his elbows out at Silverstone. There won't be the need to kind of invent overtaking spots. But even still, these drivers are some of the best at this particular format. So I think it's still going to need some inventive moves. But equally, it's going to be just keeping an eye out for those mistakes that are going to happen at very, very crucial moments and at full crank as well. So it's going to be those that can remain alert under pressure.
Well, we had a discussion in our little break there where we were saying that Silverstone was an incredibly difficult track to pass at. And, with it being short as well, we head to quite literally its exact opposite, because Spa is wide open. It's heavy on slipstream. It's long. It's very, very raceable. So starting from 10th place, you kind of get the feeling that he could still work his way up. Maybe not to a win, but still to a good points place.
Oh, completely. He can absolutely move forwards. But again, it's going to be down. You've got to bear in mind, they've got to manage their power properly. If they burn that battery too fast, then all of the gains they'll have early on is just going to completely undo itself.
Well, race 3 of the evening then, about to get underway. Spa-Francorchamps, our host. A track that's been running for nearly 100 years. I brought up that fact a little bit earlier in the year when we raced here in the CUPRA Sim Racing series, and a mighty feat of a circuit is and always a challenge, regardless of vehicle taking around it. But this may be something a little bit special as well. The CUPRA Leon E-Racer is fantastically powerful and very, very electric. Tricky to get off the line, although I feel that drivers like this man, Gianmarco Fiducci, have fairly mastered it by now. A little bits of struggles back in Shanghai for him in the actual qualifiers to get in. Most drivers figuring it out. Our front row of the grid then, Nestor Garcia and Tim Yarshall, the top two in the championship. Garcia, his second pole of the evening. And what does the Spaniard do after a victory on home soil at Motorland Aragon? We are underway here at Spa, and it's a great launch from Nestor Garcia. But I think the third place man of Leon Rudiger was the one with the best launch. He's going to try and go around the outside at La Source. But look at that, diving straight in. Nestor Garcia has been absolutely slammed down the road. Leon Rudiger being pushed out of the way. I'm not sure who that was. Diving it down the inside, I think it might have been this man, Christopher Hugfeld, to the race lead from 5th on the grid. Oh, that might have a few questions to it. Tim Yarshall in second place, up through Radion for the first time, way over the curb. Oh, that was a big moment there from the Swede with Tim Yarshall, Fiducci, Garcia in behind.
Where the hell did Hugfeld come from? That was an absolutely storming start, but look how defensive he's had to go. 3 wide coming down towards Les Comps for the first time in anger. And people are saw these. And Nestor Garcia, I think, was just trying to get that inside maneuver on Fiducci. Is the Italian going to be able to fend off the Spaniard? Oh, here we go again. These two crossing swords, and barely. Fiducci well defended there, but Garcia already straight back on the defensive. Here comes Haase on the outside of Rivage. Can the Spaniard defend from the German? Again, just about. Now, Fiducci doing a great job, had a great start, and he's hanging on to the back of Tim Yarshall. But Hugfeld had got that so right. Jack Keithley already up 3 positions, and he's having a look on the inside of Pouon. On the inside of Rudiger, doesn't quite get it done this time around. But wow, what a start from the Swede!
Yeah, it was nearly a position gain there from Jack Keithley on Leon Rudiger, but now he's having to fend off the ex-Williams Jimmy Sports driver, AAA man, Adam Pincez. Julian Kunzer in behind Martin Stefanko. Again, maybe not so impressive from the Williams Esports man. Down to 10th place. Only position he's really dropped was that to his teammate, who's up into 7th, as you quite rightly said. Hugfeld then leading. I'm curious, though, if that move at the source may well have been classified as too aggressive. I just have that feeling that it was a bit too harsh on the inside for the Swede. Tim Yarshall, I don't think has anything to say on that front, because I don't think he had anything wrong in that scenario. Maybe escorting Nestor Garcia off, but you can maybe suggest there was some contact in behind that pushed that scenario out. He's just desperate for a race victory. Look at how wide Fiducci went to try and pick it to the outside of the German, pushed off onto the concrete runoff. Oh, there was a spinner in the background there. I don't know who that was. I think Stefanko's dropped a position to Carlo Luciano Badin. I'm not too sure if it was him, though. Gianmarco Fiducci going for the cutback. Oh, that's fantastic.
What a move.
What a move from Gianmarco Fiducci to swing it back down the inside on the German of Tim Yarshall. And on the run to Les Combes for the second time, I get the feeling that Fiducci might be able to attack Hogfeld here.
That was stunning from the Italian. He timed that to perfection. Tim Yarshall just took his eye off the ball for a split second as Gianmarco Fiducci just dives on the inside of the source and has Hugfeld to slipstream off of, so he isn't under any immediate sort of counter-attack danger from Yarshall. Although the German may have thrown it on the inside of Lecombe, no, not quite. But Fiducci is having an absolute stormer. Garcia still not far behind. Here is Rudiger side by side with Adam Pincis he's having an argument with and loses out on the exit of Lecombe. Nicely done by the Hungarian on the way down to Rivage. And there's Jack Keithley just going out of the shot now. I'm just saying, all sorts of arguments going on. Everyone's scrapping for the same bit of tarmac. That's Kunze that was getting very up close and personal with Rudiger. My goodness me, it's still side by side as we head down to Pouan once again.
Yeah, I think that's Stefanko and Bench Banky as well as we run into Pouan. It's absolute madness out there. Luciano Badin very much a part of that. They're still side by side off of Pouan as we run towards Lefania now, looking at Florian Haase as the top 5 are clearing off from the rest of the pack in behind. Jack Keithley with no slipstream ahead. No one really attacking him from behind. It's a bit of a solo effort at the moment with 5 minutes left on the clock, and we're approaching the end of that second lap. Christopher Hugfeld leading the way, at least for now, but every time we leave onto a stretch, you never know if it's going to be him still leading. Gianmarco Fiducci with a fantastic overtake up to the inside. Here we go into Blanchimont. He lifted out of it there, didn't fancy a move, but that might open him up to the German in behind, who isn't quite close enough to pounce on the efforts of the Italian. What are we going to do into the final chicane, into the old bus stop? Oh, nearly Tim Yarshall was thinking about diving it down the inside. He's also got pressure from Gianmarco Fiducci, from Nestor Garcia rather. I bet he would so wish for Florian Haase to get by to just alleviate some of the pressure that's being dished out to the back of him. Look in the foreground as Gianmarco Fiducci's trying to make something stick. Maybe going to try and do the same move as he did last time. Not quite good enough. He's going to hold on to second place, but he is definitely close to attacking the Swede for the race lead. But maybe he is ever so slightly too close to the Swede to actually make anything work, because the slipstream's not going to be too strong. Oh my goodness me, up and over the curbs massively was Christopher Hugfeld, and Gianmarco Fiducci isn't quite able to do anything about it. We're being told that the first corner from Hugfeld was absolutely clean, so we're all well and good on that front, but we'll have to wait and see. Look at that, Nestor Garcia going down the inside there for 4th place. Oh my goodness me, snatching that one from Haase, who I'm assuming they've switched to the before recently, but whoa, what a feisty race so far.
Fiducci's playing it right, though. He didn't want to make the move going to La Source. He could have done. It did look like he was sizing up the switchback, but then he would have been counter-attacked on that, using that mighty slipstream down the Camel Straight. He wanted to stay with Hugfeld, but unfortunately just couldn't quite get that move done. But is he waiting to the final lap? It's a dangerous, dangerous gamble, because you can see from that shot just how close Yarshall is. And, there's a tiny bit of breathing space between Tim Yarshall and Nestor Garcia. So this could be a dangerous gamble for Fiducci. But equally, Fiducci could just be going absolutely flat out. Hugfeld's just doing exactly what he needs to maintain that lead at the moment. Oh, that's big. Yarshall wide. Oh, Garcia!
What a move.
Wow, once again, the Spaniard just having an absolute dive into a corner. I mean, I did say that there will be times and opportunities for slightly unorthodox manoeuvres, and Nestor Garcia living up to that claim.
Absolutely, he needs to do it as well to get through at that point, and that's just allowed Fiducci. Oh, this is genius from Gianmarco Fiducci. He's seen that gap appearing behind and thought, okay, I'm not going to pounce yet. I'm going to wait for my right moment. I'm going to bump draft you a little bit, Sonny Jim, into Blanchimont as well, into the final chicane. 1 lap to go on the board, cupped it back through. Nestor Garcia absolutely threw it over the chicane there to try and close whatever gap he could to the Italian ahead, and he's just desperately trying to stay in contention for victory should anything happen between Fiducci and Hoogfelder. Focus back down the order as Jack Keithley somehow ended up in 12th. Oh my goodness me, the drama does not stop. Ben Spanky inside the points, only in 10th place. Here we go then, down to Eau Rouge, up through Aragon, up towards Les Combes for the final time. And what can Gianmarco Fiducci win? It was a great victory from him in the EWTCR at Zolder, but this one would be so much more important for him when it comes to getting himself maybe in contention for the title here today. He's gone to the outside at Les Combes. Christopher Hoogfeldt to the inside. We lose them behind the trees of the Ardennes. And here we go. Gianmarco Fiducci is not quite able to do anything. Massive commitment there from Christopher Hoogfeldt. I think they're going to have to wait until the run into Blanchimont, into the final chicane for that final time for another opportunity for the Italian.
Yeah, I think Fiducci went to go for the switchback into Les Combes, but backed out of it. I think he was opting for the safer route rather than try and risk the manoeuvre that close to the tail of Hoogfeldt. But yeah, it's going to be a manoeuvre into the bus stop at the end of the chicane, or the chicane at the end of Blanchimont, I should say. There's a bit of
anymore.
It's not a bus stop, I know. I'm that old, I remember it being so. But Garcia can't attack. Look, as Yarshall is looking to reclaim that third position and dragging with him Florian Hosser. So, Nestor Garcia can't realistically have a go for second. He's got to try and maintain the attack of the Germans right behind him. But look again, Fiducci just piling on the pressure, and Hoogfeldt doing a brilliant job of absorbing it all. Here we go. He's going to be do or die now for anyone trying to maintain this position.
Oh, my goodness me. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. Nestor Garcia is going to be a massive part of this. That's a huge mistake from Christopher Hoogfeldt. That is absolutely massive when it comes to this. And now we've got 4 for the lead as Gianmarco Fiducci is just desperately defending from Nestor Garcia. Down the inside, though, Tim Yarshall as we run into Blanchimont. Calm as you like for Gianmarco Fiducci on the onboard. Pinching it, though. Nestor Garcia, and that's going to drop Florian Haaser onto the podium. I think he might switch back with his teammate, though. Gianmarco Fiducci into the chicane. Nestor Garcia, the Spaniard, in behind, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. Wow, wow, wow. What drama, what drama, what drama through Stavolo. Gianmarco Fiducci, look at that. Absolute elation as he crosses the line at Spa for a monumental victory. That is huge when it comes to the standings. Nestor Garcia up to second. Florian Haaser did get third over his teammate Tim Yarshall, which drags everything closer heading into one final race at the Nürburgring. That was massive. Hoogfeldt only 17th, and the thing was, the problem with that is it was a mistake all of his own volition.
Yeah, it was. As close as Fiducci was, I don't think there was impact there with the point that he dropped it. So
oh my goodness.
Look at that, a clean sweep. Race winner and fastest lap as well. Okay, he didn't get the poles, not quite fastest lap. Not quite a clean sweep rather, but you can't take that away from Fiducci. Yes, he got a bit physical, but it was all fair and brilliant done. But how close was he to losing the lead just in those final few corners to Garcia?
Fiducci is genuinely one of the most likeable drivers on the grid. And that's no disrespect to anyone else. Everyone just loves a feisty Italian, though. And he epitomises everything of someone who actually really cares about what we're doing. What a race that was. Absolutely stunning. We've had 3 races so far in the CUPRA E-Racing Competition final, and every one of them has been hugely dramatic, hugely exciting, all for completely different reasons, and we absolutely love it. Only one final race to go, though, and that will be at the Nürburgring. A sprint layout, another shortened track, and how that will play against some drivers. Of course, the last one didn't really work out for Gianmarco Fiducci or really Nestor Garcia. Might open the door for Tim Yarshall, who realistically, obviously with the exception of that pinch, which might be questionable from Nestor Garcia, he's been Mr. Consistency all evening long, has Tim Yarshall. I get the feeling he might be continuing that at Nürburgring. Whether that continues him to a title challenge, we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, wow. The points are so close. We'll get the confirmation, of course, shortly of what those points currently stand at. But wow, that is absolutely incredible. But yeah, Tim Yarshall, taking the win at Silverstone. Will the shorter track, favour him? And here we go. We've got confirmation of how the points stand. Tim Yarshall still holding on to what is now a very slim lead over Nestor Garcia. But look at that. Fiduci and Hasse, again, level on points. Bit of a gap between them and Rudiger. Jack Keithley hanging on in there. But wow, what a great starting point to see off what has been an incredible season leading to this point. I'll also point out that Nürburgring is a very different track to Silverstone, this being much more twisty and technical.
Wow, it is final time, and what a fitting track it is to end things at. A circuit which started the CUPRA Sim Racing Series all the way back in 2019 here on RaceRoom, closes the evening's entertainment for the CUPRA E-Racing Competition. To the Rhineland-Palatinate and the Eifel Mountains, it is the Nürburgring. The sprint layout, and I think we're in for a fantastic end to the night. What a close championship we're having at the moment. Just 7 points separating the top 4 drivers, and of course 3 different race winners. One thing that we didn't note at Spa was that was the end of the run of pole position to race victory. We've seen it all the way up until now, but that one throws that into the bin, and I think that is so amazingly fitting heading into this final race. Of course, myself, Lewis McGlade, alongside me, Chris Buxton. All night, this has been fast, frantic, exciting, and it's all about to come to an end.
Yes, all good things must come to an end, but what a great way that it'll do so. Every single race, every qualifier, and every final race we've had has been absolutely incredible. It's been wonderful to be part of it. And I have absolutely no doubt that this finale is going to be just as frantic as what we've seen so far.
Here's Mr. Consistency then. Tim Yarshall, high drama at the end of the Spa race, dropped him off of the podium. But prior to that, obviously a race victory at Silverstone, third on the finishing standings at Motorland Aragon, 4th place at Spa. Very, very consistent run. Nestor Garcia, maybe not so much, a win in the first race, but then really, really struggled on the short Brands Indy. I think because this circuit, did I say Brands Indy? I meant Silverstone National. My goodness me, it's been a long night. I think the thing is with Nürburgring though is it's with it being a longer circuit, there's just that sort of that room. It's not just 3 corners and hope for the best. You've got that sort of leeway. So I don't think we're going to see quite the craziness that we did.
No, this one relies less on pressure than we had at Silverstone. Yeah, I mean, you've still got about 10 or so corners in this. There's only one, well, I mean, it's not a straight between the Bilstein and the Vidal. They're still flat out, so they would get a decent amount of knots up there. And also the start-finish straight is the only places you're going to see any kind of speed. It's all going to be about positioning and just getting into the right place at the right time to make the moves. Here, turn 1's going to be one of the prime opportunities. Going into the cut-through section, maybe into the final turn after the Vidal, or certainly at the Vidal, but at the final turn as well. Almost certainly, there's going to be several hot spots in this race.
And look at this, we're already racing even in the qualifying session, a classic staple of racing competition where we have an open qualifying session. Everyone's so desperate for that track position. It could be absolutely crucial in this qualifying session. You need to get a lap in early. We've spoken about starting on a shortened circuit like this. When you have so many attempts, you need to kick off with a good benchmark time. And yeah, around here, they absolutely need it, because track position at Nürburgring, it's always known, track position's king.
Yep, Slipstream's not going to be an awful lot of help here, so you don't want to be following someone like we've had at Spa as Yarshall. He really does not want his screen full of green at the moment. He wants that track to himself. But there's a little bit of gain to be had, but you're likely to be put off by the person in front of you. So this is not ideal for Yarshall at the moment. He needs to give himself... There we go. He's giving himself a bit more breathing space. Unusual line through that final turn, but he's trying to open that up to get the rate of knots on the start-finish straight, but he could well catch the guy ahead of him again. So, we'll see how well Tim Yarshall does. But yeah, you want to talk about consistency. He scored points, and I think I'm correct in saying he's the only driver to have scored points in every quali and race up to this point.
Certainly is. He has been Mr. Consistency all night, always inside the top 3 of qualifying, and would really have been always inside of the top 3 when it comes to the race without that Spa incident. We're on board with him though as we leave the arena section, and whilst the Grand Prix layout, see you mate, off he goes. Where we've got the Grand Prix circuit down on the left hand side, we go right through this sort of double apex hairpin, 180 degrees, big slide off of it though from Tim Yarshall all the way over to the right hand side. You can use all of that sort of tarmac concrete runoff that's been painted green, and then onto the back straightaway. This corner is going to be so crucial. You can get to the inside here if you get a good drive through the Ad Van Ark and up towards the Vidal chicane, where it's really tight, and we're going to see some dives through here. And if we don't see dives, Chris, I reckon we're going to see some nice juicy cutbacks, because you can absolutely do it. If you catch it right, you can get people to overcook that chicane. It's so easy to do, so unbelievably easy, and Tim Yarshall doesn't even fancy continuing that lap. He's got someone all over him.
Yeah, I don't know whether he bowed out of that, or it was Banky that he let through, takes the top of the tree at the moment. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You can get some brilliant cutbacks on this track if you apply the pressure in the right way and at the right time. As now the first time laps come in. Look, even though we're still in the sort of banker lap phase, look how close they are.
Keep your eye on 4th place man as well, Leon Rudinger, who was the faster man coming into this round. When we were doing the practice, I think he could be up for something. Oh, and that's not an ideal way of finishing your lap there from Nestor Garcia, but regardless, I think he'll be pretty happy with 4th for now. We're expecting times quite a bit faster, and there's a 26.408, the time on the board, but we reckon they can do lower 26s. But I'd probably expect in this session, considering everything, maybe something like a 26.1. And Pin says goes to the top, a 26.2 has won at the Nürburgring in a CUPRA, if I remember correctly, although it's, again, been a long year and a lot has happened. But he has indeed. In the first round of the CUPRA Sim Racing Series of 2020, Tim Yarshall, those are the sector times that we were more expecting to see, and how important a pole position would be for him here at the moment to try and secure him the CUPRA E-Racing Competition title out of that final corner. Could it even be a 25? Based on those sector times, you wouldn't exactly rule it out. Across the line he goes. It is to pole. It is a 25 as well. What a stonking lap.
Wow.
A 25.921, half a second clear of the man in P3, Martin Barner. That is mega from the German on home soil.
We saw how much he was really wrestling his car when we were on board with him a couple of laps ago. You saw how hard Tim Yarshall is pushing. He wants this one. I'm sure he wanted all of them. But, this one, again, being home soil, let's face it, we all have that little element of us that want to do well at home. I defy anybody, unless you absolutely hate your home circuit, that'll be a different matter. But, Yarshall, you could see how hard he was pushing. He wanted that pole, and that's an absolutely storming lap, considering 3:10 separates himself and Adam Pintos at the moment. You go back from 2nd to 7th to match that gap again.
Yeah, that's a mad lap time from Tim Yarshall. Pintos in 2nd position, just ahead of his AAA Sports teammate Martin Barner. Mega stuff as well. Also, just a bit of a note, glad to see Pignataro back in the session, catching word that he was having a little bit of wheel issues at Spa, hence his retirement. Good to see him back out on the grid. He was saying that he was just going to try and get himself back out there for the final race of the evening. I think it's been an evening that's gone particularly well for the Italian, but regardless, it is great to see him out on circuit as well, pulling along Alessandro Ottaviani, his teammate for Virtual Drivers by TX3, one of the outfits they are the outfit that realistically has the most drivers here at 5, with Leonard Tocchi missing for Euronics Gaming. 3 and a bit minutes left on the clock, so we're approaching that final lap stage. For Tim Yarshall, you might as well almost just hit the escape key and retire. Just like, yep, I'm fine with that. Jack Keithley's gone up into second with what I'm sure would have felt like an absolutely barnstorming lap. The moment you see the sector times and you realise you're 2/10 off of Tim Yarshall, you might think, oh, damn.
Yep, the mind game's coming in again. When you've pushed your absolute hardest, you set what you think is an absolute stormer, and you're still behind where you need or where you feel you need to be. As Florian Hassek comes over the line, sets the 4th quickest time. Not bad at all. I say not bad. Again, I'm not meaning that in a condescending sense, because I know damn well I couldn't get anywhere near these kind of times. I'd be off into the dust every other lap as well, because these cars, you mentioned earlier, Liz, are not easy to drive. They're not your typical kind of touring car where you can just get in and get on with it. As Nestor Garcia is looking to upset the party at the top of the tree. Just a couple of tenths off that mighty 125. Yeah. Just 2 points behind Yarshall at the moment before, of course, the quali points are added. But Garcia wanting to upset Yarshall's home party.
If things remain as they are and we get these points, right, and this is a super theoretical thing, so hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because this is not exactly what's the running order. It's not followed it tonight, has it? If Tim Yarshall gets pole position, he gets 3 points. Nestor Garcia gets 2 for second, which would then mean that there would be a 3-point gap in that championship. Now, let's say, for example, that Nestor Garcia overtook Tim Yarshall, won the race, and Tim Yarshall would only be second. Well, considering the difference between P1 and P2, that means we have a dead tie for the title, which is mad.
Yeah,
absolutely mad. And I think in that scenario, because of it would be 2 race victories, Nestor Garcia would be the champion. But of course, this is all theoretical, and let's be honest, this evening has not followed the script at all. It's been utterly fantastic. And our top 2 in the championship currently running 1 and 2. A little bit of disappointment for 3rd and 4th in the championship, as Florian Haase only 5th. Gianmarco Fiducci only 11th. He will need to improve on that, because that's not good enough. Martin Stefanko, the winner in the qualifiers, Shanghai, I don't think he'll be particularly impressed with 18th. I'm pretty sure as well he was the highest scoring across 3 races, the highest scoring qualifier.
Goodness me.
He's not had a good night, the Williams Esports man. I don't know if he's been focusing elsewhere or if it's just not come together tonight, but it just isn't there.
No, and previous form would suggest that he should be, at least mixing it with a sort of top 5, and he just hasn't. He's only scored points once tonight, and that was 3 points last time out at Spa. So coming home in 8th. Yeah, I've got no answer to that, I'm afraid. But also coming back to the point you were making earlier about if the qualifying stages they are between Yarshall and Garcia, as much as we are looking at elsewhere in the qualifying group, we're concentrating on the top 2 because they've been that close all night long. If Garcia did win and Yarshall was second, the points would be tied. Did we not talk about this off air before we started? This is the exact situation we were talking about as well.
Well, as things stand then, Tim Yarshall, Nestor Garcia and Jack Keithley, the top 3 on the road. Keithley will be happy with that and desperate to end the evening in the best possible way with a race victory. A point to his name anyway. Adam Pincez in 4th place with Florian Haase only in 5th. I don't think he'll be, like I said, I don't think he'll be particularly disappointed, but he'll definitely want to be up there with his teammate. By the way, Florian Haase and Leon Rudiger separated by 0.000 as they both set the same time for 5th and 6th. Maybe
difficult to get closer than that.
Yeah, it really is. Maybe a slightly less exciting qualifying session than what we'd seen before. But going into the race, that is it not just me, or does that feel like the calm before the storm?
Very much so. Very much so. The stage is set for the greatest finale that we could have possibly hoped for. Tim Yarshall for Euronics, Nestor Garcia for Red Bull. a points gap that's fairly irrelevant. In honesty, there is the details on the teenager Tim Marshall. Well, great. He's had a pretty good run up to this point, hasn't he? Again, so wins not necessarily particularly common, but again, P2 in 2018 for the WTCR, P2 for the IVAA E-Racing Competition. There's that consistency. It's always been there as part of his racing makeup, and has put him on the top leading into this final round.
And that 2020 German racing competition win was actually very, very important. The thing with Tim Marshall is that he's always been quite an aggressive driver, and I think that kind of victory almost turns things around for this year. He's really coming of age. Of course, he is quite a young man, and has been across his run, of course. But he's been aggressive in that run. He's sort of driven like a younger man, whereas today he's driven like a driver of an older generation. He's driven with his head a lot more. Now, yes, of course, the whole Blanchiment thing with Nestor Garcia exclude that moment, which I probably would say that Nestor Garcia
even the greats make mistakes.
Yeah, but exactly.
Speak.
But consider the drive at Motorland Aragon, which was done with a high level of professionalism. He never threw anything like that was dangerous out there. His drive at Brands was perfect. Nothing went wrong, and he dominated Brands. And now here at Nürburgring, he's got the chance to do it again. I meant Silverstone. I keep saying Brands. My mind's just like, it's a short track in England.
It's a great track. Don't get us wrong.
It's not good. I'm not a huge fan of Brands. I don't like my home track. You're saying about home tracks that you don't like. I don't like Thruxton. I don't like Brands. Never too effectively, like, because I've lived in Kent and I've lived now in Wiltshire. But I don't like my home tracks.
Well, suit yourself.
Yeah, sorry. Well, with warm-up clothing, we are heading in to what could only be described as a crazy final race. I cannot tell you who's going to be out on top in this one, and I don't think you can either, Chris.
Nope. I'm not even attempting to guess. I'm sitting royally on the fence. It's all going to be down to the start, I reckon. But Tim Marshall, I dread to think how nervous he is. Nestor Garcia, he's won already. He's maybe a little bit less pressure on him. I mean, even still, they're still going to come away with a prize, and a decent one of that. But with what we've seen from the Spaniard, he's going to push for that top spot. I'm going to say Yarshall. If I'm going to put my name on my money on someone, I'm going to go Yarshall. Why not? I'll throw it out there.
I'm not putting my name on anyone, but I would also go for Yarshall.
Coward.
Yeah. But I don't want to go just the opposite and go with Garcia. I think Yarshall's got this. I think Yarshall has that killer determination. There's only one way to find out, though, and that is to end the evening. And what an end it will be. The CUPRA E-Racing Competition about to start its final race here at the Nürburgring. And what a final race it will be. Tim Yarshall away from the grid in the best possible way, with Nestor Garcia instantly getting into his slipstream. Jack Keithley could play a very key part in all of this as well, as he's following the slipstream down into turn one, already trying to throw it down the inside of Nestor Garcia, and he might make contact even with the German of Tim Yarshall. Around the outside, Nestor Garcia is not able to go. Tim Yarshall holds firm at the front, and Jack Keithley now under massive pressure. Brandon Pinces, who gets onto the podium. What a drive that is. And Florian Haas and Liam Rudiger going side by side. They qualified on exactly the same time, and now they're racing in exactly the same place. Julian Kunter as well, driver of the night, moving his way forward, 6th and 7th place as he battles out with Liam Rudiger. Head of the field, Tim Yarshall leading clear from Nestor Garcia, Jack Keithley, Adam Pinces and Florian Haas are in behind. Great start from the German.
That was brilliantly driven. Absolutely brilliantly driven.
And what a way to do it as well. Jack Keithley to the inside of defending from Pinces. This is allowing the top two to run away, which is the best possible thing for us, because whoever wins this race wins the title. And with that happening, with those two sprinting away, what a perfect way to end the night. Man on man, let's see what can do. Jack Keithley then in the background defending with Pinces, and Florian Haas trying to work his way up. It would be handy for Tim Yarshall if Florian Haas could work his way up and maybe get ahead of Jack Keithley. I don't think he'll be able to apply pressure to the Spaniard. What an opening lap from Tim Yarshall, who's already a second clear.
That's been an absolutely storming lap from Yarshall, but that's been really well driven actually throughout the field. We didn't see anybody facing the wrong way, and we saw Jack Heathley once again getting his elbows out. Oh, big switch there going on. Is that Pintus and Hassa?
Oh,
that's a big move on the inside of Fiducci. That's Lucien Benin. Oh no, Fiducci is off towards the wall. Oh, it looks like Fiduci's luck has returned to him.
Yeah, I wonder if there is some severe damage on that car for the Italian. He did not look best pleased. You know what he was quite reaching for there. But either way, went off the road, came back on, now 19th place. And this is important as well because prize money's up for grabs and he's right up there. And obviously won't be in this race. The man that is Tim Yarshall leading by 1.1 seconds over Nestor Garcia, who's dropping back into the clutches of the Ipswich-bred Englishman of Jack Heathley. That gap coming down, Jack Heathley could be playing a very key part in all of this to just allow Tim Yarshall to really clear off with things. And what a story that would be. Ben Spanky only 9th on the road, by the way, and kind of disappointment for him this evening. Maybe one driver that we were expecting to take part in the front end of proceedings as Julian Kunze is trying to apply pressure to the back of Florian Haase, his fellow German, through the Vidal chicane. Oh, my goodness me. What drama. What drama indeed. Oh, look at this, though, to the inside of Martin Barner trying to throw it down to the final corner. Julian Kunze did not see that one coming, and I don't think anyone else did either.
Oh, that was tight. That was barely
I would not have gone for that.
Yeah, barely the length of a width of a Frankfurter in between those two and the wall. As Kunze again going for that defensive line. Oh, wow. If you're going to defend, I'm going to banzai on the inside of turn one anyway. Martin Barner claims that 7th position, the Hungarian, really getting his elbows out firmly, but then you need to in a grid like this. Garcia beginning to get some distance between himself and Keithley now, so he's trying to concentrate very much on the battle up front, but Yarshall's done it again. He does exactly what he needs to do, but he can't rest on his laurels. That's the thing with this kind of grid. Okay, the race is relatively short, but you make a mistake because it's so short, you don't have the time to recover the time. So Garcia is starting to get back into his rhythm, I think. And we might see that gap come down again for a final lap showdown. Oh, lots of battling going on further down. Norbert Bussant and Florian Haase. What on earth has happened to Florian?
Yeah, Florian Haase dropped back. I think he might have had an instance with maybe Raikkonen, who also dropped back. I'm not 100% sure because Raikkonen did drop a few positions himself. As either way, there's been something happening. You can see the damage on the front end of Florian Haase's car, and the evening doesn't seem to be going too well for him, which should work out for Gianmarco Fiduci, who's obviously quite close with him in the championship. If he can get a point, it's a bit more prize money. Well, actually, no, because it would be anyway, because he'd be winning the tie, because if I remember correctly, tied on points. For that one, they are indeed, and the tiebreak would go the way of Gianmarco Fiduci. So in that sense, fair enough. But it's all about where Liam Rudinger is as well, who's 5th on the road. He would be gaining points and potentially gaining a position in the championship. There he is. He would still be 5th in the championship as far as we're being told. So it's tight out there regardless. If he moves up a few positions, it could be more and more prize money. You wouldn't really want to just imagine going up to him now and being like, if you pass the next car, it could be an extra bit of prize money. That's how important it is, though, to make that move on pink chairs.
Whoa,
Garcia. Oh my God, speaking of that position, it is going the way. Oh my goodness me.
A problem for Garcia, sees him stationary at the side of the road, and suddenly, oh wow, as he rejoins, couldn't really see if that was a good rejoin or not. There had to be some kind of technical failure.
Yeah,
he just pulled over and stopped.
I wonder if he had a pop-up or something like that. Something to take his focus off the game. I don't think it was a wheel problem because he's still going. He wasn't near anyone when that issue happened, and there's no damage on his car. I'm absolutely sure that is a technical issue, and I am very curious as to see what actually happened. But either way, there is a massive sigh of relief to Tim Yarshall. The dramatic final, maybe not coming to its most dramatic end, and things calming down here, at least at the top. Everywhere else, though, is wide open, and Kunze is trying to get by Martin Barner while simultaneously defending from Banky in behind, and Kadlacik as well, a part of this battle. Contact there between the German of Julian Kunze and Martin Barner's rear end as well. Just a light brush, but nothing too major. Trying to go around the outside into the arena section, maybe picking it back up the inside, but it's not quite happening for him just yet.
Yarshall found the banana skin upgrade to his car, and as I said, the Spaniard into the wall. Garcia really did nothing wrong there. It's not like he did a move or hit a curb or something like that. He just something forced him over, and the fact he was stationary for so long. Oh, you got to feel for him. He's been absolutely golden all night, and for something like that to snatch it away at the last race, oh my goodness me, you wouldn't have put money on that. But there's still fighting. There's still lots of positions to decide. Tim Yarshall may well have top honours, but look at this lot that Kadlachik is in the midst of. So what's that? That's Barner backwards, isn't it? So that's fifth all the way down to about, to the end of the field, it looks like.
It looks like quite a train as things stand. Of course, every point does matter. It is curious to note, though, that of the top 4 in the standings, 3 of them at the moment aren't even in the points. Because with Garcia's issue, who was that?
No.
Who was that? Was that, it was Hugfeld? What?
No. That's,
yeah. And there's damage. There's massive damage on the front of the end of Leon Ridinger's car. For you Leon Ridinger fans, unfortunately, unless he gains a few more positions, he's not going to be gaining any positions in the championship. So it would just be 5th place from him. But he desperately needs a good position because Jack Keithley is threatening him for that 5th place in the standings. He's only a couple of points back. And so if Leon Ridinger was to drop back another place or 2, then that's 5th place slipping out of his hand. I wonder if he just lit it up coming out of the final corner. I didn't quite catch it. I wasn't exactly looking out for it. There's potential that it could have been connection, but
well, potentially. I mean, he was way past the corner, so I don't think it was something like that. He may well have just touched the grass that's pitched, or maybe he thought the race was over. I don't know. That was such a bizarre incident. But if the car is damaged that badly, he could be. We've still got another lap and a half to do. He could be absolutely decimated and fall through the field. It really depends how badly that car has been hurt. And he's still got 4 and a bit seconds between himself and everyone else. My goodness. So I really would not want to be. That's Barner at the front of this train. How tense must he be feeling right now with this many headlights behind him?
Well, realistically, I think in that scenario, you're not focused on the list of headlights behind. You're focused on the one directly behind because everyone else doesn't matter. True. They can only get. I mean, to be fair, that's easy for me to say in the comms booth up here. Like, if you just focus on the car behind, then it'll be easy. Of course, it is not easy. We are on the final lap of things, and as has been noted, the 2020 German RaceRoom champion is leading the way at the moment, and with this victory, it will be a championship secured as well as a fair amount of prize money. Jack Keithley's not been able to do anything behind. The gap's 2.3 seconds to him. Adam Pin says as well, a great drive to end the night at least, onto the podium for him, and it will be at the moment 7th in the standings if he finishes where he is. Leon Rudiger, that bizarre incident doesn't seem to have come under any pressure from Martin Barner in behind, who's dealt with pressure the entire race from Kunze, Banki, Kadlachik, Hugfeld, Rekel behind. What a mad day of racing, though, and it is about to come to an end with Tim Yarshall looking to secure victory on home soil, his 2nd win of the night after winning in Great Britain at Silverstone, I'll add. Euronics Gaming, what a win this is. Tim Yarshall departs the final corner on home soil, and he is your CUPRA E-Racing Competition champion after just sneaking through at Shanghai to get into the final. It is Tim Yarshall provisionally our champion, and I don't think anything's going to change about that. He is 18 points clear. It has been dominant from him. Mr. Consistency, dominance at Brands, dominance here. I said Brands again, and I'm not even bothered by it. What a stunning evening from Tim Yarshall.
His lowest position all night has been 4th. That is absolutely stunning. Fair play to the German for that one. Jack Leathy, the stronger run this time, but sadly doesn't make a difference to his overall championship position. Adam Pinsis, good to see him towards the top of the tree as well. Rudiger, come away with fastest lap. Again, odd lag moment aside, a decent run for him. Barner 5, Kunze 6th, Banki 7, Kadlachik 8, Hugfeld in 9th, and Rachel rounding out the top 10. But yeah, you'd never have put money on Garcia being 18th. I should have put money on Yarshall.
Wow, what a night! What an evening of racing. we have seen some fantastic stuff here to near end the year here for RaceRoom competition. What a year it has been. We've had so many good races, so many great competitions run, and all coming to this, the CUPRA E-Racing competition has been frantic and exciting through the qualifiers and into this grand final, and what a way to end it.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a great ending, and it's just been, I mentioned it before and I'll say it again, it has been a wonderful series from the opening of the first qualifier to now. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with your good self, Lewis. Wonderfully run by our teams in the background. Thank you, Robert, for keeping us on the straight and narrow. And our drivers have put on a wonderful show, so thank you to them all.
Let's take a look then at the standings provisionally for one final time this evening. Tim Yarshall, Euronics Gaming, 18 points clear of Nestor Garcia, will, as things stand, become your champion. Nestor Garcia then in second place, and Gianmarco Verducci, Florian Haase, those three did not score points in the runnings of Nürburgring, at least through the race. Gianmarco Verducci with that win at Spa might be disappointed with that, but I think he'll still be happy with third. Maybe what could have been potentially second, even in the standings. Liam Rudinger, a great drive from him all night. Fifth place, Jack Keithley, Adam Pincez, Martin Barner, Julian Kunze, and Ben Spanky does get himself inside the top 10 for some of that all-important prize money. But Tim Yarshall has been the absolute man today. So consistent. Is this the coming of age that we expect from Tim Yarshall on the eve of moving into 2021? Potentially, we were speaking at the start of the year that maybe 2020 is the year of Jack Keithley, but it's certainly looking like 2021 could be going the way of Tim Yarshall. Only one way to find out, though, and that is to subscribe to RaceRoom, to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook as well, to go and get yourself involved with some RaceRoom competitions across the next year, because believe me, we've got some fantastic competitions in the works. But of course, thank you all for joining us throughout this season, throughout this year as well. It's been fantastic to be a part of. And as well, as you said, to commentate alongside you, Mr. Buxton, has been fantastic. And of course, Rob Wiesemuller, a massive hand in the background, moving things forward for RaceRoom. Until next year, though, we will have to say goodbye, but it's been great. Until we see each other again, it's been a very warm goodbye.